So I figured this needs to change. We need to fix this. In order for us to move RC racing and change it, improve it into the cool thing that we know it can be, we need to start at the root of the problem. We need to start at the federational level, IFMAR, the Federation of RC Racing. That's where we need to start. So I figured out the genius solution for this. Here we go. IFMAR has a president. No one knows who the hell it is. No one knows how the president gets elected, but I assume it's they always say it's democratic. So there has to be an election, right?
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode numero 70. Oops, I messed that up. 75. 75. We are 75 episodes in, 25 away from 100. And hey, we are still going strong. Unlike what BKQ predicted, we are now approaching almost 2 years of podcasting. Well, we're about 5 or 6 months away from it. 5 months. Episode 75 is ready for you guys listening. It's full of a bunch of segments. This episode actually took the entire week to record, and I want to thank my guest this week, who is Darren Bloomfield. If you guys don't know who Darren Bloomfield is, you will know more about him. He is the first ever UK European champion. He ran for Losi for a long time, switched over to Nemo Racing, raced for them, and then he retired from RC, I would say, about 2 years ago. But it was good to catch up with Darren. I actually did meet him in the UK in my skinnier days, and he's a great dude, and he's actually thinking of coming back to racing. So not on a professional level, but just to have fun. So thank you to Darren for coming on, and that's our main guest. I also have the guys from the Flying Cars movie coming on. I'm sure most of us have watched it. I have, and I'm going to give them my view on it. I'm going to give them a view from two aspects, two perspectives, and it's going to be good. So they've been on every podcast so far, so I think we might be the last one. With that said, I want to give some shout out to all of our supporters, the NNRC squad. Thank you guys for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Without this, we cannot do it. Also, shout out to our Patreons on Patreon. You guys have something special coming here soon. A Patreon only thing. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for your support. You guys definitely help keep the bills paid. If anybody is interested in being a Patreon, you can find the address in this podcast. Every little bit helps, and I greatly appreciate it. And thank you to our sponsors. Yes, they are RCMX Online, Tekno RC, Beach RC, JQ Racing, JQ Racing and JQ Racing USA, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, BK Servos, and that is it. So if you are interested in advertising on this podcast, please hit us up, send us a message or an email. We'll send you out some information about the podcast. We're trying to go next level. So we need all the support we can. And remember, people, if you want to save some money, we do have promo codes for most of our websites, and we do have a Beach RC affiliate link. Using that link definitely shows this podcast some love and shows our sponsor some love. So if you want to buy something from Beach RC, just go use that affiliate link that I've been posting lately. It's greatly appreciated. Helps monitor influence. And maybe I'll get my no prep drag car built if I got a few shingles in there to help, do that, because I'm really looking to do this no prep RC drag car. Let's not carry on and ramble on. I got Joseph here on the line. Beaker Q. We haven't really spoken in a while. We took a break last week. Let me bring him in. What's up, Beaker? What's up, Pookie? How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what I'm doing right now?
What are you doing? You've been busy.
I'm writing the guide.
Yeah.
The ultimate Buggy Bible.
Yeah. How's
What
that
should we
coming
call
along? The Supreme Overlord edition.
Yeah, it's good. It's very hard to explain sort of actually quite complicated things are not like, it's not black and white ever. You can't give like a blanket statement that this is what happens always when it comes to setup, but it's kind of that way. So it's really difficult. Like you explain a change, but then you have to give a lot of examples of when that actually isn't the case. Like this is what happens most of the time, but then in this situation that might happen, this situation this might happen, and remember that, and oh my god, it gets complicated.
I'm sure. Compared to your first guide, which a lot of people, even though a lot of people consider you an asshole and they don't like you, I know a good bit of people actually have that guide in their toolbox or on their phones and whatnot, because it is really good. Is there a lot more you have learned since then, or a lot. Has your ideas changed a lot? Has your philosophy and stuff on setup changed a bit?
Some things have changed. So I think that like the backbone of the first guide is correct. Like it's pretty good, but there's a lot that I can add now. And then there were some assumptions that I've actually even written in the guide, like my opinion is this, and sometimes I've even said that I'm not quite sure about something, and then that part that I'm not quite sure about, now I've learned to understand it. And then I realized that my opinion was, if not wrong, then sort of very limited. It was just one part of it. And now that I understand more, I can explain it completely. So there's a lot more that I can add to the guide and sort of fill in the missing bits. And also, I remember when I wrote the first version, there were some things that I didn't have a clear picture of, and I just sort of wrote it as well as I could. And now I really made an effort to understand those things so that I could be satisfied with the explanations I give.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I see.
And also, I mean, the parts that were already good, I've just tried to make them more detailed and explain them even better.
Yeah, I really think the videos that you're planning as well is going to be really good. Like, a lot of people like to see, okay, I've changed toe to this, or I changed anti-squat to this. And like, I know that's going to be the most difficult part of it. Like doing that same, you're probably going to need like 2 cars, I think, and 2 identical cars, and show it going into that corner with like you have done that before. But yeah, I'm excited. I know this is a big labor of love for you. You've been wanting to do it for a long time, and it's taken up a lot of your time. And honestly, man, sometimes I don't know how you manage all this stuff, but I'm excited for it. And you've been busy otherwise, though. I mean, I just saw your recent post, JQ Threads. You've been busy with that at the motocross track and all that type of stuff, which is great. I never really asked you about this, but I see you just posted up an iPad cover from that girl in Nigeria. How did you ever get hooked up with her? She's a fashion designer, and how did that even happen? I never even asked you that story.
Actually, she isn't, but she wants to be. Man, that's a whole different story. But okay, so
did you find her on Tinder?
Well, okay, so I'll explain. So JQ Threads is a clothing brand that sort of exists and doesn't exist. So I have the clothing, I have a website, I have a web shop, and occasionally people buy clothing, but I haven't really put effort into promoting it and trying to sell a lot. And the reason is that I want to build a good foundation. Like actually get the branding right and get the message right. And it's surprisingly difficult to do, because the point of the brand is to run a company where the whole, like the function of the company, the point of it, the way it's done is doing good, is doing something good. So it's not like you have a company, you have a brand, and then you do a bit of good on the side. The point is that the more successful the company is, the more people it helps. That's what I want to achieve. So doing some good is not an afterthought. It's an essential part of the company, of the brand. So just as a short explanation, it's the brand kind of has two sides to it. So the world we live in, we can go online, buy clothing, we race RC cars. We have every opportunity to basically do what we want because we're lucky. If we aren't living in rich, developed countries, then we are pretty well off if we can run RC cars. So what I would like the brand to do is remind people like this that we have opportunities, and the only thing that's stopping us from taking advantage of them is ourselves, our minds. Like just like you wanted to make RC your job. You wanted to work with something you enjoy. And now you're doing that. And the only thing that was stopping you before was really your mind. Like I had to beat it through your thick skull that you can do it. And now you have your own podcast, right? Like,
well, I mean,
you see what I mean?
I've done more than just a podcast.
Literally, the only thing that was stopping you was you thinking that you couldn't do it.
Well, that's true. And not only that, the opportunity, but I mean, this started, not to, go ahead, finish your statement. Go ahead, finish it.
Yeah, and I think that, for example, in a country like Finland, in Finland, pretty much everyone, that's what's stopping them from truly sort of living their best life or chasing their dreams. Or if you ask someone, like, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with your time? And they'll give you an answer. And then you just wonder, like, well, why don't you do that now? Like, why are you working in a job that you hate? Why do you hate Mondays? Why don't you figure out a way where you can do what you enjoy? And in a country like Finland, for example, people can actually do that, but they don't realize it. So the point of the brand is to sort of highlight stories and people who do those things and remind people that, hey, you can actually do what you want if you set your mind to it. If you're willing to work hard and make some sacrifices and decide that you want to go for something you enjoy, then you can do it. So that's kind of one side of the brand. And then the other side is the fact that there's a lot of people in this world who, even if they set their mind to something, even if they really want to do something, they actually can't because they don't have the opportunity. They don't have the means to do it. If you, like in Nigeria now, like this young ladies in Nigeria, let's say someone saw RCGP on YouTube and they thought, hey, I want to become a professional RC racer. Well, unless they have a lot of money and they can move somewhere to America or Europe, then they aren't going to do that. Like, there are no RC tracks in Nigeria, and if you don't have the money to do it, then, I mean, it's not possible. Some things just aren't possible. So the other side of the brand is to find people who have a dream, have a goal, have something they are passionate about, something they want to do, but they just need an opportunity. So kind of actually like you, in a sense. Like, yes, you wanted RC to be your job, but how? Like, you did live in the Dominican Republic. What the hell can you do? Like, how are you going to get a job in RC? What are you going to do? Well, you got an opportunity through JQ Racing. So sort of that idea, like you find someone who needs an opportunity and then give it to them. And then they either take advantage of it or they don't. Hopefully they will. And then they can,
Yeah, I agree with you.
Do what they
so how did you meet
do.
this girl, though?
So anyway, so that's kind of the idea of the brand.
Yeah.
And then I had so the reason I haven't pushed it more is that I need to have those sort of those stories to make it reality instead of just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, how the hell am I going to find these kind of people? It all started with that picture of that young kid in Indonesia smoking a cigarette, and then ended up sending him to school. And he did finish school, but then he dropped out, and his parents were on drugs, and now he's on drugs probably. Like, he didn't want to, like, he had an opportunity to do something, but he didn't take it. So it's not easy, you know, the person has to be the right person to want to do something, right? The wristband, like all the clothings come with wristbands. So that's a project in Mozambique. There's 10 kids that I buy wristbands from every month, and that pays for them to go to school, all their school stuff, and there's some money left over for them and the family. So there also, it's like helping that local village and the families there be able to send their kids to school, and for the kids also not to have to work every day like they did selling the wristbands. Now they do it one day and they get enough to cover the whole month instead of, you know, selling to tourists every day. So that's one project. But then how to find someone to provide a worthwhile opportunity and then to have a good story to tell about that. So you nailed it, actually. Well, I told you that's why you nailed it. Tinder. It's brilliant, because here's the deal. You can set your location to anywhere in the world in Tinder. And also, no one in Tinder that you meet is going to suspect that you're doing something like this. Like, they're just looking for a relationship or whatever. So they aren't going to lie to you. If you put up an announcement like, we're looking for this or looking for that, you're going to get people who just want to take advantage of that. They aren't passionate about that thing necessarily. They just want the opportunity or the money or whatever. So you don't know what you get. But on Tinder, yeah, it took a month and a lot of time wasted in a sense. But then I stumbled upon this girl who I asked that what she's doing, and then I asked her what she, like, if she had $100 million, all the money in the world, what would she do? Like, money isn't a worry. What would she do? Okay, so she wanted to have her own clothing brand. She loved to make dresses and this stuff. And I asked, so why doesn't she do it now? Okay, so she didn't have the money to go. She didn't have the money to buy the needed equipment, didn't have the money to go to school. She just had to find some job that she didn't like, but just work. She couldn't do it. So then I figured, okay, so I'm going to try. So I told her why I was on Tinder, that I wasn't actually looking for a relationship. I was looking for someone to provide an opportunity to. And I had a clothing brand, and this is perfect because she wants to do clothing. So what I did was, instead of giving her money, I placed an order. I said, look, what could you make for my brand? This is my brand. I would like something with some African fabrics. Let's figure out something you can make. And we settled on iPad cases and sunglass pouches. That's something she could make. So I basically, the money I sent her to get the sewing machines and the fabrics and materials, and for her to go to 2 different courses to study how to make some bags and dresses, dressmaking and all that stuff. It's like a down payment for the first order of iPad pouches and sunglass cases. So it's like a long project, but it's providing her with an opportunity to pursue her dream. So she clearly had something she wanted to do, but she didn't have the opportunity to pursue it. And now she does, and now she's working hard towards that. So that's like, this is the idea for the brand. And before I have these stories and it actually is reality, it's sort of pointless to really promote the brand. So that's kind of why it's been this side project for so long.
Yeah. Well, that was a 20-minute explanation, so thank you. But I get it. I know
but it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, and for people that don't really know, some people just tune into this podcast. It's a good thing you have going. I just wish you would make bigger sizes. And I think my buddy Abel was asking about your shirts the other day. He wants to try and get them in Bermuda and try to sell them. Speaking of opportunities, I was looking on Facebook, and it's probably exactly 3 years. I saw one picture 3 years ago. we was driving around Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, drinking beer, getting lost, looking for that motocross track and just having a good time. And that's kind of like when we kind of bonded and became like bromancers. And this whole journey kind of started with that. So, 3 years into it, it's been an awesome ride. I have a lot of gray hair. You still piss me off. I mean, we had an argument this week.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. You know how you said that you think I'm autistic?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did a test online. Mm-hmm. Now, honestly, I don't think these tests are that good because just let's say you're an introvert and you probably score like, oh, you're autistic. So anyway, I did 2 different tests. You want to hear my results?
Sure.
Adult autism test results. You have a strong likelihood of Asperger's syndrome or autism.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny after that argument that we had on WhatsApp, right? Scott goes, man, you got to read up on how to deal with autistic people, and he was right. He's gonna shut down now, and you did exactly that. And so now I'm gonna start reading how to do it. But you need definitely. I don't know I don't know how you treat this. I don't know anything about it. It says
your score suggests you experience many or all of the common traits experienced by those with an autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
Then I did a second one, and my score was 29, right? Mm-hmm. And it says if up to 14 to 30 points is autism possible, right? 14 to 30. I had 29. And 31 and up is autism likely.
Well, I think you have it. I don't know how you treat that, but you should look into it. And like I said, I even had a friend, after I said this on the podcast, he hit me up and he goes, JQ exhibits a lot of those traits. So it's definitely something that you have to, I don't know how they treat that, but something you should look into. Maybe you can make it help you out and maybe stabilize you a little bit in certain things. But 3 years ago today, I got that opportunity from you. It's been an awesome. I think it's been beneficial for both of us. I mean, I like my new job title, which I'm telling everybody, it's Supreme Overlord of JQ Racing, and I've traveled quite a bit, met a whole bunch of great people. I want to shout out to a couple of guys, my buddy Greg Gasser and Mike from Midwest Air Racing. His birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to shout out to him on the podcast. He went out and bought himself a new JQ Black Edition. Met those guys at P&B last year. And even the guys that aren't running our cars no more, I'm still friends with them and still watch them on Facebook. It's awesome. It's been a great ride. I was on the Turn podcast last week, which was pretty cool. Got to talk to Mark and Tony kind of behind the scenes. And Mark has some good ideas. We was talking about the bashing and racing community, and he's doing really good with his YouTube channel. He's trying to bridge the gap between bashers and racing. And he brought up a very good point that I'll touch on in a bit. I went on another podcast this week as well. Sean, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but it's called RC Fun Talk. So it's a good chat with him. And it's been an awesome ride. I never thought I would be talking to you through a mic, doing a podcast 3 years ago. And I just think back. I really do think back to all my, I'm going to say it, all the Bermuda crew who were telling me. Salty Joe was the only one who really stood do what you got to do, and my other buddy is do it. And Salty Joe stood by my side, and even Abba came around. But I remember all the guys saying, "Come back to Bermuda and get a real job and do this. You need a real job." And and it was so close to that, man. Oh man, I remember the hospital was calling me, emailing me. Someone helped me get that job. That would have been a great job. I would have made him making about. Oh man, I would have made so much overtime and. I'd have been making. I probably would have had a house by now. You know what I mean? But I would have been away from my family. I would have not been enjoying it because I don't really want to go back to Bermuda, and I wouldn't have got to travel around South America, drive across America 7 times, all this type of stuff. And so I guess I said thank you, but thank you for the opportunity. But it's been beneficial. I did have helped you grow JQ Racing. it is what it is. This time, we're the small. I still can't believe it. Like, we're the smallest company with the most hated guy in RC, but we're still surviving, and that comes from just the awesome people that support us, and we're building a great network, and it's good. It's good. So enough of that. Let's talk a little bit of news. Not much news going on, but I see Brandon Rohde had a bike accident, dude. Messed himself all up, man. He had a mountain bike accident, I think. And he actually broke his neck, dude. He broke his, let's see what he says here. He says he'll be in a neck race for 6 weeks, a sling for 5 to 6 weeks. He broke his neck and his skull, then broke his shoulder and arm. That's insane.
That must have been a huge crash, actually.
Yeah, and you got to be careful about that on motocross, dude. Like you can't, like, I know that's your passion, but you're prone to like having accidents. You know, and you just can't, like, you can't afford to have an accident right now. You know, you got a lot going on. You got all this secret stuff you ain't telling me about. But yeah, man, I hope Brandon Rohde gets better fast, because that's a hard crash, man. Breaking your neck and breaking your skull. Wow. And yeah, well, get well fast, Brandon, because that's pretty bad, actually. So yeah, we see TLR rolled out their regional managers for America, which is pretty cool. I like how they did that with the states and all that stuff. That's obviously Thomas Tran's influence. He's getting in there and getting his hands dirty and doing exactly what I expected him to do, moving over to that team manager position. So kudos to them. Remember that talk we said about TLR getting out of racing? Well, it looks like they're not going anywhere. So, yeah, I know you was like, whoa, you wanted to say something about that the other day. What did you want to say? And that's kind of where we got off on our argument.
About what?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Good. But yeah, kudos to them. They rolled that out. We're readjusting our maps here for JQ Racing as well. We got a few new team reps to announce. And yeah, it looks like racing's starting back up. Oh no, you know what? Exactly as we said and as we predicted, racing is starting up on a club level. Some races, I think the biggest race was Thornhill this week, and Dagani will love it. They had only 8 people per man. You know how Dagani always wants to go back to 10 cars per man, but they only had 8, I guess, for social distancing. Tebow made the drive down there. He looks like he had some difficulties in Nitro, and actually, I think he came last, but yeah, he raced those Texas dudes, and looked like it was a great turnout. But not only that, I just saw nationwide in America, people were getting back to club racing and having, smaller club races, which is great, man, because that's kind of what we need to support these local tracks. And I even saw Hot Rod Hobbies opened up this week, OCRC's opening back up. And, I'm really missing racing. I really am. Unfortunately, none of the big races, well, it's probably it's like a double-edged sword. AMS, they were pushing, but the county said, no, it's just too many people, I think, at one venue to have that right away. So that's been pushed back. I know Josh Garbett with Blue Ridge Nationals, he's waiting on time to see if they're going to have their race in July. So these big races are still in limbo, and I think it just comes from too many, it's going to be too many people in one position. So yeah, racing's getting back. Unfortunately, in Europe, it doesn't look like it, but it does. I do see people are testing and getting to the track more. Obviously, I see Ronnefeldt. Even in Italy, they've relaxed a bit and people getting to some tracks, but Spain and France seem to still be, and the UK. Well, yeah, the UK a little bit, but Spain and France extremely locked down. Still, the Nemo track looks badass. John Hazelwood and Nemo went all in. Have you seen any pictures or video from that track?
I've only seen pictures. It looks really good. Yeah. I haven't seen any video.
Oh man, I heard they no expenses were spared. Beautiful green AstroTurf in the infield. That's gonna be a bitch keeping it clean. They're gonna have to get a great vacuum and keep that clean. I think he went out and got 4,000 liters of oil because they like to treat their tracks with oil, like cooking oil in the UK. And I think that's going to be good for you. From everybody that I've talked to, everybody in England's excited about it. So I guess it must be in a good location and where I think people can access it really good. Scott's excited because it's literally like 10 minutes from his house. So, not much other news. The Flying Cars movie. All right. As of recording this, I have not interviewed the guys yet, but I have heard their interviews on other podcasts.
Have you watched it now?
Yes, I watched it Tuesday. I told you should watch it. I don't really want to talk about it too much right now. I think we should save that for next week.
Okay, so I didn't watch it because I'm not sure I can handle the cringe. See, I just have this feeling that it's going to be so cringy that I don't want to watch it.
Well, unfortunately, the RC community, the racing community, is not too happy with it, and I kind of understand why. So when I do talk, I think they were expecting more racing, and it's funny, you see familiar faces that I see at races. I saw Sexy Leg and the California crew got people that go to races, but yeah. But then when you hear these podcasts with these guys, you kind of understand that they don't really know about racing too much. So I don't want to.
What's RC featured in it, by the way?
It's jumping. He's jumping. He wants to jump. They have this big jump competition. And he meets this girl, and people. Oh man, the RC. The RC community is very fickle and very hard to please. So, and I kind of get why they're upset about this, and not upset, but like I will be honest with you. I enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give it five NNRC mics because I'm starting a ranking code here. We're gonna do mics, and I think 5
out of what?
5 out of 10. So. I actually watched it without being like I noticed things like, okay, this wouldn't be like this is wrong, but I try to watch it as a non-RC dude, and as I spoke in my intro, when I talk to these guys, I'm gonna try and talk to them from 2 different perspectives, and yeah, it's I think it could have been, I don't know, it's just a word race, but I will say this. They captured the whole gypsy lifestyle of Southern California, and especially RC. Like, honestly, I think this could be modeled after you, like driving around in your truck with your car and your belongings and moving from, going back to, like, his roommate. He was getting married and didn't get married, and he went back to his roommate, and like going back to Smoker's house, and Smoker's house was full and you have no space to go anywhere. So, it kind of reminds me of us gypsying it around California when we come out there a bit too. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. People's going to have to listen to my interview with the guys, and then we can probably talk. We'll talk about it next week. So, yeah, I think we should leave it at that. Just so I also want you to watch it. Spend $10, go watch it. I've been reading the comments. People like, I wasted $10, and I'm like, well, this influenced me more that we need to get this RCGP docuseries out so bad.
Oh, that's gonna be brilliant.
We need to get this out so bad.
But you know what I've noticed? I mean, I kind of knew it all along, but especially now with this docuseries thing for RCGP, it's very hard to make videos that are exciting, interesting, compelling, and not cringe-worthy, lame, bullshit. Okay? Because let's face it, we are nerds in a field. That's what we are. Right?
You know what? That's what I think pisses people off in this movie too. We look like fucking nerds. Like, we are. Exactly what we say. We are, and I think people are seeing that. And
but here's the thing: like, not all of us are nerds in the field. Like, as a whole, like RC racing, it's kind of nerdy geeks and virgins in a field playing with toy cars. That's kind of the image, right?
Yeah.
But then we also know that there are all kinds of different people involved, all kinds of different backgrounds, serious about racing like Durango, mechanically advanced cars. There's a lot of time, effort, and money put into it. There are exceptionally talented drivers, exciting racing. So there's that side to it too, like how to make a video series where that side is shown and people walk away thinking that, wow, that's such a crazy hobby I never thought existed. And people take it so seriously and put so much effort and money into it, and they're so good at it. And it's, the racing was exciting and cool. Like how to make videos that see him that way instead of look at those virgin nerds in the field. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and okay, I saw somebody.
It's possible, but
yes.
I realize now, like, okay, so all the changes that RCGP made, which people were complaining about, the teams pitting separately, the team shirts and clothing, and the schedule, and the what is this? The press conference setup and the interviews and all of this stuff. It makes complete sense when people get to see this video.
Mm-hmm.
Or this video.
I agree with you.
Like
but
that's when it makes sense.
Well, here's the hard thing.
People think that, this makes no difference. It makes a massive difference.
Of course it does.
And if you want to understand, you can look at some sport. You can look at sports like even Formula One, if you go back far enough. But a more recent example is Supercross. Motocross too, actually. But Supercross is even more a bigger example. Like go back and look just a couple of decades ago at what Supercross looked like, how they presented it. It looked like rednecks, riding around hay bales and some jumps. Like it didn't look serious. And now it's a serious, legitimate, high level show.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a massive difference. It's a crazy difference when you go back and look like that.
Hey, it's funny you say that.
That happened because a promoter came in and made the changes. They saw this has potential. Let's make these changes and make it into something great.
It's funny you say that.
And in RC, we're in the same situation. Like we have the ingredients to make something great and make it to where people look at it and actually get inspired or excited or interested instead of just thinking like, that's so lame. We have the ingredients, but we need to make some fundamental changes for that to happen.
Okay. I was trying to say, it's so hard the time you're talking, even though I've been doing this for so long. Like, I think you're about to stop and then you start again. So if it sounds like I'm trying to interrupt you, I apologize. It wasn't that. It's funny you say that. My son, I've been getting together for the last few weeks. My son has been racing Monster Energy Supercross on PS4 with a bunch of Bermuda friends, older dudes, and they got a little bit pissed off because my son's like 8 and we're up to like 11, 30, 12 playing, and I'm on the mic talking crap to him. And so last night we raced we're doing all the regular Supercross, and then they have a 1986 Anaheim track, right? You can even pick Ricky Johnson with a Earl 250 to race on it. And you can automatically see the difference. Like they're using hay bales and the track is different. But when you said that about Supercross, you can see it like the tracks. Then you go that 1980s track. It says, hey, it's like a 1980s track. It's hay bales. It isn't a very attractive, but it was good back then. And then you go switch to the other tracks. You got all the tough blocks, the sponsors on them, fireworks shooting everywhere, banners all over the place. And I agree with you on that whole concept. And I think what people like, what the majority of people some people get it, some people don't. But you had to create, like, and I know we come back to this, but that all had to be created. And all the you also, like, people have to understand, not only did RCGP put on a World Series that went across the world, but it also carried a production crew to go around and film this and make things happen. And the production was all about it. I actually, I was talking, I don't want to reveal who my guest is for next week, but he's very influential in his name is on RC stuff. So we was talking, and he thinks that the next innovation has to come from, we need to figure out how to promote what we do to the general public. And we was talking about RCGP. He attended the race in the USA. And it comes back to when I was thinking about the starting gates. And, everybody was pissing and mooning about that and complaining. Well, it wasn't about them. It was about it looking cool on video and appealing to people who don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? That look, as much as I like the staggered starts as well, that's more fair and better for racing, for racers. People have to understand that RCGP isn't it. Yes, it's for racers, but it's also being done where we can attract the average person. And maybe that average person doesn't get into 8-scale Nitro. Maybe it comes into RC in some other form. But, the starting gate, yeah, it wasn't about you. It was about making it exciting. And I think it accomplished that. People didn't like it. It caused drama. People who did well, they liked it. And, yeah, kudos to you for sticking to your guns on doing that. And because I know you received a lot of hate for that. And so...
Yeah, and even what's his face, Andrew.
Yeah,
Andrew, the Thunder Rally track owner, wanted to kill me. So
well, that's not unusual. But most people end up wanting to kill you. So
I figured he would want to kill me anyway. So I wasn't gonna compromise on the gate stats.
Andrew's good people. A lot of work doing these tracks. You know what, Joseph? I think we have to pay some bills here real quick. So let's pay some bills. First of all, Joseph, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic is a big supporter of the podcast, right? And I know you was getting all excited about 10-scale racing at some point, and we got some bottles sent to you. Unfortunately, you didn't get a chance to use it, but I want to talk a little bit about Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has you covered for your RC tire traction needs, and this guy, he does a really good job promoting RC, mostly dirt oval. But I know he's trying to branch out here into off-road. He goes, whether you race on carpet, concrete, or dirt, loose dirt, dry, slick, or high grip surfaces, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic cures poor traction. He says, benefits of using Papa Willie's Traction Tonic include more traction, long-lasting light tire wear, sweet scent, clean application, fast-acting, fresh. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic is also safe on foam inserts and does not deteriorate tire glue. Find and follow Papa Willie's Traction Tonic on Facebook and Instagram, or visit their website at www.papawillies.net. And also, if you want to save some dinero, use the promo code NNRC. Thank you, Papa Willie's, for all your support. Go check them out, guys. Showing our sponsors some love, shows the podcast some love. And yeah, back to talking about RC. Yeah, I don't know, Joseph. I'm excited. Like I said, I want racing to start again. I'm getting kind of bored here. Yeah, I don't know. What's it looking like? Any type of hope in Europe? Have you heard anything? Do you think?
Well, we won't have any Euros this year. Mm-hmm. And obviously no Worlds either. And in Finland, we can't have any national championships until possibly August. But we can have some races. It's still a bit unsure if we have to limit them to like 50 people at the event or what the rules are. But it looks like we will actually have some races starting in a couple of weeks. But they'll only be sort of unofficial.
Right, I got that.
Races, not nationals. But still, if the same people go, it's just as much fun. It's just not the official national championship series.
So you can test what you've been working on in a race setting, right?
Well.
Hey, you don't want to tell me what you're doing, so I'm just gonna, throw hints at you. Hey, and I know you're not gonna tell me. So anyway, shameless plug: the best of 2018-2019 dropped last week. There is an epic rant on the end. It's part of a 1.5 hour rant that we did with Jeff Keaton. Condensed down.
I still haven't listened to this. I have to listen to it.
Yeah. I even found the forbidden rant, or the rant that we do not talk about. It's pretty savage. I don't think we can ever release that. I was talking to Jeff about it the other day, and he's like, "You're a pussy. You should release it." I was like, "No."
Which one was that?
And he was talking about Adam at PNB. And yeah.
That should be like behind a paywall. You have to pay like $100 and you can hear it.
Oh man, it's pretty savage. Yeah, even it's savage. Even when you say, "Yeah, we can't post that," so it's definitely savage.
Yeah. You know it's savage if I censor it.
Hey,
if
you know what though?
You shouldn't post that.
You know what though? I saw Alvin Crowder. Did you see he posted that picture?
Yes, I saw.
That's so funny. Hey, you're gonna have to tell that story though. You really are. They tried to ask me on the turn.
I kind of figured, like what I figured is, I think Rhonda really likes carrots.
We have to tell that story.
You know what? I really think so.
I think we have to tell that story. They tried to get it out of me on the turn, and I said, "That's not my story to tell." But they knew what I was talking about. We know what.
Okay, how about this? I promise to tell the story if we get a sponsor for the segment.
Yeah.
So we have a story. We have a story time segment on the podcast, and we need a sponsor for it. Someone to advertise on that segment.
Yeah, we do. We do.
And then, I can tell the story.
If you want to sponsor this story segment and hear this epic story, it is not PG-13, by the way, but it's so funny. And we even have audio.
It's funny, but really it's not funny.
Yeah, it is. We even have audio.
It's 2 years ago or more, and it's still causing havoc in my life.
And we even have audio of your phone call to the FBI about this.
Yes,
so,
we do. Yeah, we can play that too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's actually going to be epic.
We really need to get some sponsors here on this podcast, some more sponsors. We got to, racing's going to start back up, and hopefully I can start traveling again. And I want to get to some of these races. I got so many great ideas to do, and hey, a lot of work going into.
Let's put it this way: like this story means, like, because this happened, I actually, like, if I get into a relationship with someone, I have to tell them about this story. Like, it's still affecting my life. And you're probably wondering, like, what the hell am I talking about? And you're going to find out if we find a sponsor for the story segment.
Yeah, you have many stories we can talk about too. So that's great as well. Man, I'm trying to organize this Attitude Era podcast, man. We need to get Dagani is like if Dagani doesn't agree to it, the rest of the guys probably ain't gonna all get to do it. And Courts, man, trying to get Court, man. I'll be honest with you. Every single person that I talk to from that era always mentions Courts, man, as like probably the best driver, most talented, and I want to get him on the podcast too. I asked him. I just got some shirts done. That's only that's a secret. That's for our patrons. And he just no, I can't do it, man. But if you guys want Jeremy Courts on this podcast, shoot him a message and say, hey, we want you on the No Name RC podcast. We hear you're this big time RC stud, and we want to know your story. So yeah, send him a message. He'll get tired and be like, Keenan, all these guys have been sending me messages. Now I have to record with you. So hopefully we get on. That's a few guys. I want to get Peanut on, Travis Amesco. I saw him in the movie, and that reminded me, I need to get him on, because him and Jesse Roberts were killing it for about 1.5 years at one point, almost 2 years when they were running HB. Really killing the 8-scale scene. So good stuff. We've been going on for 48 minutes. Any more news to cover? Anything else you want to talk about before we go into our Beach RC Facebook questions?
I swear there was some news that I saw that I wanted to mention, but I can't remember now.
Yeah, it's. I mean, people are still releasing stuff. I see some stuff on Live RC that they're releasing, but nothing special. I see the Associated cars are shipping out. Also, I want to say, hey man, shout out. I know this isn't your thing, but to me, I love it. Element RC just released their new car for their birthday, and that thing is really badass. I know scale isn't your thing, Joseph, but man, that genre of RC is so much bigger than what we're doing. We need to make a trail truck, dude. Seriously. You need to make a trail truck. Design one. Let's make one.
Not gonna happen. That's too nerdy even for me.
No, it's not nerdy. It's awesome. It's awesome. I am gonna make my No Name RC podcast no prep RC drag car, dude. So good stuff. Let's pay some more bills with this intro and get to the Beach RC questions.
BeachRC.com, the Racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Thank you, Beach RC and Brent, for supporting the No Name RC podcast. Brent has been supporting us for a long time. He is a brick and mortar hobby shop with a track, doing it big. You can pick up all of your NNRC swag from there. Use our affiliate link so we can track that, and it helps us out here at the podcast. Help support brick and mortar hobby shops, because without the support of people buying stuff and them supporting their hobby likewise, we're going to lose it. And Beach RC puts a lot of money back into the racing community. So thank you to them. Check them out, and hey, buy some, and you get candy in your order too. So that's pretty cool. And a signed note usually. So shout out to Brent and Lucas at Beach RC. So Joseph, let's get to some Facebook and Instagram questions. We actually don't have much. I don't know how I'm getting kind of disappointed we're not getting questions, but I also understand that racing isn't really happening as much, so people don't have as many questions, but we do have a few, so let's get going on them. Okay, let's do our Instagram questions. I don't yell rapper 1973. Loving the podcast, keeps me going working nights. Question is, I've switched from 10 scale, so I have a different driving style. Coming from carpet where it's tight, I need to drive it more loose like a two-stroke. Nitrous to glory, keep up the good work. I guess what he's asking is, I've switched from 10 scale, so he wants to know how the driving style from 10 scale to 8 scale is.
The driving style? Well, what I feel always is when I go to run 10 scale, it's always more precise. And you also have to be more careful with the throttle. And then after I've been running 10 scale for a while, I go to 8 scale, it all feels so slow and easy. It's like, fuck, I have to turn the wheel so much and I can be aggressive on the throttle and like everything is happening slowly. That's the feeling. So I guess that's the difference.
Yeah.
So 10 scale is more precise and you have to be more precise with your throttle. You turn the wheel less, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely rip it more in 8 scale. And, yeah, keep it up, man. Nitrous to glory. Stick with it. 8 scale is awesome. 2-wheel drive is good too. Don't get me wrong. But, on this podcast, Nitro is definitely the glory. Bang Average Racing. This is a new podcast out of UK. The bar, they call themselves. Bang Average Racing. I actually listened to some of their podcasts. Hey, you can definitely hear the northern twang in their, there's so many different, like we all think of England and we think they all speak like posh English people, like David Isherwood. But their dialect from south to London to the north, it can be hard to understand. But I understood what they do. But they have a cool podcast, just a group of guys. They love to party at the races. They drink, they have fun, and they get together, and he asked, when am I going to come to the UK and race again? I hope soon. I really would like to get back to the UK. I want to get to Europe, period. He goes, not to mention hitting the beers. I did hit a few beers last night, so that was probably why it was a late start this morning. But yeah, check out Bang Average Podcasts. They are on iTunes. I believe they're on iTunes, but check them out on Facebook. And yeah, support all podcasts. Jay Zellner, he says this question is probably for Cav, as he believes Beaker hasn't tested, but I think you have. Emotion versus bladders, fast race bladders. What's your thoughts? Bladders pack better, but Emotion gets through the rough tracks better. What's a good setup for both? When do we use which? Is there a setup that gets Emotion to pack as good as bladders? Have you tested the fast race bladders yet? I think you have.
Yeah, I have. So the bladder thing, I think, let's put it like this. Most of the time, emulsion is better. Emulsion is better because it makes the suspension more plush. The car seems to land better. It seems to sort of follow the uneven track surface better. I feel a bit softer. It's just comfortable. Like if you go over a roller into a corner, the car kind of wants to stay on the ground. The wheels want to stay on the ground. It doesn't want to pop over the single. Kind of follows the shape of the single into the corner, you know? So it's a comfortable setting to run emulsion. Why would you run bladders? The reason you would run bladders is that bladders make the car a bit faster. And they make the car faster because the pressure that the bladder creates in the shock pushes the tires harder into the ground. So when you accelerate on a smooth track, for example, you have more load on the tires, so you have more grip, so the car accelerates harder. So if you're running on, let's say, typically what happens to many tracks that stay smooth, they get this sort of polished, hard, smooth surface. So on that, if you run bladders, you don't necessarily even notice it in the feel of the car, but because this is what I mean by invisible speed also. You kind of do the same thing, you drive the same lap around the track, but it just has that slight amount of more grip. So when you accelerate out of the corner, maybe you carried a bit more corner speed and you didn't even really notice. And then when you accelerate, it also accelerates harder, but you don't really notice, but your lap time is better. So it could be like a tenth or a fraction of a tenth of a second each corner and acceleration, but it builds up on a lap. So that's why you would run a bladder. Now, I am not comfortable running bladders on other than a track that's completely smooth and consistent traction. In those situations, I can find a benefit to running them. But I think a lot of people, because they see, Ongaro run the fast race bladders, we have to run fast race bladders. They just run them, and for them, they aren't actually better, but they think they are, and that's why they run them. For me, I try them and I realize, like, no, emulsion is better here, so I'm not going to run them. Mm-hmm. So for me, the bladders are only better on those tracks where my car is great, it feels good, I'm comfortable, and I put the bladders in just to see if I can go a bit faster.
Yeah,
that's how I deal with emulsion versus bladder.
I remember Cav was running the emulsion caps bladders and had the screw out of the cap. So
yeah, I think removing the screw just makes it a bit softer, because there's no then the pressure behind that bladder is basically air pressure. So if you have a screw in, the pressure is higher within the cap when the bladder tries to compress into it. So yeah, cool. That would be sort of a medium setting then, I guess. So if the two extremes is emulsion or bladder with the screw, and if you remove the screw, it's sort of somewhere in the middle.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Jay. 46RC. Thank you, Toby Hampson, for my 46RC t-shirt that you sent me. I greatly appreciate it. Next up, Hal Hudson from the Pacific Northwest. How did How did RCGP know there was going to be a pandemic this year and postpone the 2020 season?
Well, that's just when you have professionals at work. They know these things.
Yeah, it was just coincidence at the end of the day. Brian Monroe, since Joseph Quagrant has had so much time in his hands, has he been working on any new product design? I want to know this too, Brian. Don't worry.
Let's put it this way. So there was a time when I was busy with something and no one knew what was going on. And then RCGP happened just magically. We had RCGP. So now there's 3 different things that I've been working on that no one knows about. And then one day they'll know. That's what I can say. Seriously.
That's about as vague an answer as I can think
One
of.
thing that I don't like about my job, I guess, is I would like to work in a way where I can have a Facebook Live and share everything I'm doing. And it would actually be good for promotion also, marketing, like people get involved and interested and so, but I can't. I just can't do it because the types of things that I'm doing need to be secret until they're ready.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate. If I didn't rely on sales to run a company, and if I had all the money in the world and didn't need to worry about anything like that, I would share everything I do, I think.
That's understandable.
As it is right now, I can't.
All right. Thank you, Ryan and Hal, for the question. Charlie Carter, Pit DRC, the saucy washer. Great little product. We're going to have him on and talk about it here next month and probably do a giveaway with that. So what's up, Charlie? Big supporter of the podcast. And it's an RCGP question. When is RCGP starting up this year? Any idea who's racing? Well, it's not starting up this year, Charlie. It will be 2021, hopefully. New teams, not that I know of. New venues, not sure. Because how did Trump... How you are like Trump. How did JQ get his company started? Is Trump or the Taliban funding his company? I want to hear the timeline. I've only heard bits and pieces. Thanks, Keenan. And you know what? It's been almost 3 years since I've been working with you. 2 years in this podcast. And you keep saying, well, we need to interview me. We have to interview you. Seriously. We need to interview you. It's going to take 3 hours.
Maybe one day.
No. You're being such a punk, man. Stop. Like, come on, baby.
Maybe for Christmas.
No. You said that last Christmas.
Yeah, but I was supposed to actually visit you, but then I didn't.
So why do you need to visit me in order for me to tell the story?
I just thought it would have been better.
Yeah, it could
but
be
then
better.
I didn't visit.
We can talk about it. A lot of people don't know. I mean, a lot of people still think you're rich, like from a rich family. Someone actually asked me that the other day. Is JQ from a rich family? I said, I wish he was. I probably got a better paycheck and I wouldn't have to stay in janky Motel 6s and stuff like that when I travel. Actually, Motel 6 is an upgrade for me. That's fancy.
Yeah.
Isaac Paulson, the Pulsinator. What is JQ's most proud win or finish throughout his RC career? And he goes, I know Lefty won a national title. That's right. First, I wouldn't say first Bermudian to become the Bermudian national champion.
What did you win the national championship in?
I was the first ever. Well, Paul Coleman actually won the first Bermuda national championship. And he came and raced with us. And I think he won it 2 years in a row. But we had our first race series ever in 2005. And I won that shit. It was like 6 races. And I didn't even get a trophy. To this day, they wouldn't acknowledge it. I'll acknowledge it. We was arguing about that the other day.
You didn't get a trophy? Why didn't you get a trophy?
Nothing. You know what's so funny about that is Keeman was pitted. Keeman was scheduled to win that because Keeman was just a better racer than me. He had a Kyosho. The car was good. He was faster than me, but I was a much better mechanic, and my stuff used to finish races. I didn't flame out. My car finished races.
Yeah. So
I beat him in consistency. Like I never finished lower than second, and I won races when he messed up. So it's so funny. This is my first sponsorship ever too. So the local hobby shop, this is like back in early 2000. Nitro was booming. This is 2004 or 5. Yeah, was it? 04, I think it was. You know, economy's good. Nitro's booming. I beat him for the championship. And so what it was, the hobby shop guy had thought that Kimon was going to win it. And he wanted him, he's like, he was an off-the dealer. So he wanted Kimon to run the Hyper 7 after that, which is your old car. You know, we're really good friends with Paul. So yeah, you know, so he had that all planned and everything, like, and everybody knew that was going to happen. And here comes along Lefty. Well, I wasn't Lefty at this time. I had both arms working. I was also I was a beast back then in the gym. Oh, it's good days. So here comes Lefty and disappoints everybody, shocks everybody, wins the championship. No trophy, nothing. And then the hobby shop guy was like, well, Kimon's going to run the Hyper 7. I want you to run the Hung Noir 9.5 or whatever it was called. Oh, that car was a turd. Oh my gosh. Paul sent me all the pieces for it to make it work, but I did get it to work. But man, that car weighed like 10 pounds. You know what I had? Do you remember how often I had those stupid engine mounts where they had screws like locked in the bottom of the engine mounts?
Yeah.
Oh, those sucked so bad. I kept breaking those. But that eventually led to me running jamming. So that was my first full spot. What the heck is that noise, dude? Stop that.
Sorry.
So
was that good?
Yeah, that sucks. Stop that. You're gonna do it again. So what was your biggest? That was my glory right there. I actually won it twice that year. We had a winter series and a summer series, and I won a spring series. I won them both. So they got no trophy. I think they expunged it from the BNRA records. You know, I don't know why.
I don't know. Story of my life. I think hopefully my best achievement is ahead of me still.
You won the Nordic Champions quite a lot.
Yeah, my first Nordic Championship win, that was really good. There was one that I won in Sweden, which was really good. And then all my Euros I main finishes, those have been really satisfying.
And yes, almost making it to the A-main in 2006 Worlds.
That's probably my worst memory.
You're still
along
better
with
about that one.
The Euros 2004 or something.
Oh well, that's how it goes, dude. That's how it goes. It's called racing. It's not called winning. So good stuff. That's all the questions we have for this week. So thank you everybody for sending in questions. Thank you BHRC for sponsoring this part of the podcast. Please send us your questions. I'm probably missing some. I know somebody might have sent me one via private message. I think if you have private message questions, please send them to the podcast Facebook page so I don't forget. Because my Facebook goes all day long, so a lot of messages get pushed on. All right, well, Joseph, I'm going to call you back for the rant. You guys enjoy the chat with Darren Bloomfield, and I'll talk to you for the rant.
Okay.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Tekno RC. Excellence in engineering. Hashtag Tekno Takeover.
So joining me this week is a gentleman I've mentioned before in the podcast. I actually met him back in 2014 briefly when I was in the UK working. He actually offered to try his car out. He was at Hearts. He was going out to help a guy with his Mugen, and he was testing out the new Agama at the time. And he just goes, "Hey, you want to take my car?" And I had to say no because I'd never driven with stick radio before. But it was amazing that he even offered. I even took a picture of him in my skinnier days. So I want to welcome multi-time UK national champion and first ever British European 8-scale fuel champion, Mr. Darren Bloomfield. How are you, Darren?
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, good. Just chilling here in lockdown. Not left the house for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know all about that. I can count on my hand the number of times I've left the house. But thank you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while. Like I told you, every time I see Billy, I always mention your name to him. And he actually said that there might be a comeback from you, which I thought was pretty exciting. But you are the first ever British European champion. There's only been 2. So that's you and Elliot Boots. He's a 2-time winner. And we even said on the beginning that it's rare that there hasn't been any more 8-scale champions. So, it's not like you're some slouch. You're actually really fast. I'm sure you can still be fast when you come back. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But,
let's hope so. Coming back's only for fun anyway. That's what I need to get back into racing fun. So
I understand.
If I win, I win. But if I don't, I'm gonna be smiling anyway.
Good stuff. All right, that's actually the best attitude to have. So you did kind of resign abruptly, but we'll get into that later on in the podcast. It was actually shocking when I was shocked when you resigned or just stopped racing. But I mean, like I said, we'll talk about it in a bit. But let's talk about your early beginnings and how you got started in RC.
It was a long way back. I was about 5 years old. My dad was into flying model aeroplanes, and one of his friends, they currently still work for CML, I believe, Jason Huntley. He did kind of a different sport every week, and one week came up and he said, "Oh, I'm going down to this local scout hut. I'm going to race this RC car, and you should bring Darren along with you. He might be interested in it." So we went down there, obviously with him, and that's where it all began. We started doing the regionals just around here, always off-road, but then always touring cars on a Thursday night at the DMS Racing Model Car Club. So from then, my dad sold all of his planes, and it was all RC cars for a very long time. Every weekend, Tuesday nights at Chesham, Friday nights in Aylesbury, Thursday nights at DMS, all the way. We do nationals, junior championships, all the way up, really. Dad hurt his back in, forget what year it was totally now. I forget what year it was totally, but it put him out, and it made me have to do my car and everything myself. And at that point, and then I kind of went off from my own from there. He came less, I raced more. And then 2010, we had the World Championships in Thailand, and I had a really good result. I think I was the highest finisher with, to have not been to the track already, which I think was like 18th. I think I finished. Semis. I think Drake was just ahead of me, and he made the main and I didn't. So yeah, really good result. And off the back of that, Losi said, "Well, we'd want you to come and do it full time and help us out." So it was obviously a turning point in 2010. Shortly after that, obviously Losi and Horizon had a few ups and downs, stuff going on. So I kind of went a different way with Nemo in 2014, and then it kind of wasn't an abrupt end for me. I know you said you're going to come on to it later, but it was more, I've got a son, he's 8 now, so I was just more and more time. He was at school, I was at racing, and so as much as it was an abrupt end for many, actually, within my own head, it was actually a couple of years coming, so.
Oh, okay, so we have a son the same age. My son goes 8 next month. I understand that. In fact, when I met you in London in Hearts that day, I had been away from my son for almost a whole year working.
Oh my God.
So
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's I understand being away from home and all that there, but yeah, you were actually so when you started out, was it mostly electric? Because I know 10 scale is real big in the UK, or was you branching out into Nitro at the same time?
No, it was electric from the age of 6 all the way to sort of around 2008, when obviously Losi brang their Nitro car out. That was the only reason I went that way, is because obviously they brang a car out, so someone had to drive it over here, essentially. Over there, they had all their guys there. But yeah, so that was kind of around 2008, 2009 when we branched out and started doing. I think we jumped straight into the 8 scale nationals because we had a full calendar already. We kind of just said, look, let's get the car ready and go and have a go. So I remember one race was, I think it was a Sandy National. They used to have a race called at Sandy, the track. That was one of the earliest races that I remember back then doing, and mainly because my car ended up in a pond at the back of the track. But Yeah.
Was it a steep learning curve coming from 10 scale to Nitro? And who were some of the people that helped you out with that?
Yeah, it's a very different class. Obviously, 10th scale is a lot more calm, shall we say. Obviously, you've got no pit stops, you've got no engine that can stop. I guess it's easier to consistently finish all the time, I would say, other than breaking an arm or something. But the driving style is completely different as well. 8th scale is very much throttle and brake, whereas electric is you barely tickle the throttle and you just kind of nurse the thing round, and it's a lot more delicate, a lot more calmer driving style. So it was kind of the right way to go, because it's very hard to teach yourself, I think, to go from 8th scale to 10th scale, having had that aggressiveness inside you all that time for 8th scale, to go the other way. Whereas kind of going from 10th scale to 8th scale, you just got to learn to pull the gas and get on the brakes hard and just hammer the thing round.
Yeah. We have this argument a lot on this podcast about if two-wheel drive actually helps you run 8 scale a little bit more. It makes you a better 8 scale driver. I think it does. I think if you're going to practice with anything, it should be a two-wheel drive car or a Nitro car.
I mean, certainly back in the day, two-wheel drive was not hardest, but it was the most skilled class to drive, I think, with the rear motors, less grip, understeer. Obviously, a lot of those tracks have gone away around I'm talking like 15 years ago when you got Cactus Classic and stuff like that. Is a lot more control to the car. You had to let the car kind of slide, and you had to keep it going, and put trust in that slide, and then a bit of understeer, and it was kind of all made up into one. Whereas obviously the inboard cars, I haven't driven inboard cars on dirt very much, but I think the car is just so much more balanced, and it kind of is very different to the two-wheel drive days. So I think any class of electric makes you a good driver, just purely, especially off-road, just purely how you have to be so tentative on the throttle and braking in a straight lines and all that sort of stuff all helps. It's certainly a 10th scale off-road, certainly a good class to come from. I mean, back in the day, I did loads though. I mean, I made 12th scale national A finals. I made 8th scale on-road IC, now national A finals, gas truck national champion. We literally anything back in the day that was RC that we could race, we did off-road and on-road, I should probably say. We did the touring car national A finals I've made. Literally any class back then we could race, we did.
Yeah, I can see why that kind of burnt you out. Who were some of your early influences back in the day, and how did it all start with Losi?
The reason it started so strong with Losi was because way back to the start, DMS Racing were kind of the big southern shop, and Helga Racing at the time, who distributed Losi, were in Harlow, so kind of south as well. So he was heavily into Losi, and he ran all of Losi stuff. So we basically just got into that, and then even for like junior championships, he would prepare all of his stuff and then come with us, that's Darren Boyle, for me to race. So that's kind of why that we just went down that path, because he did, really, because he had it all, and that's what he pushed.
Sweet. So who were some of the drivers that you looked up to when you was young? I mean, I just interviewed Jamie Booth a few weeks ago. I realized how much of an RC stud he was, and everybody in the UK seems to like him. But who were some guys that stuck out to you?
So I mean, way back in the day, it would have been people like Ellis Stafford, Ryan Coxall. Obviously, Neil was one of the biggest. To be fair, there was never a lap on the track where Neil went round and George Land said you shouldn't miss it. Like if Neil had done 52 laps over the weekend of a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive national, George Land would expect me not to miss one of them. Watch every single lap of Neil Craig's car for the whole weekend. Just watch what he does, watch how he gets out of trouble, watch how he looks ahead and misses things. And so a lot of it all came, I guess, secretly came from Neil, just from watching. I mean, when I when I think back to those two-wheel drive nationals, Neil was winning every single one of them. So it's no mistake as to why I was told to watch him.
Yeah, I had Neil on the podcast. Great guy, and he's also continued to have a full-time job while being a professional driver, which is rare. So, just let's start talking about your racing career. Some of my notes here says you actually won the warm-up to the two-wheel drive Worlds, but didn't compete in the Worlds. What happened there?
I'm not really sure what happened in terms of not qualifying for it. I think it was in amongst of a couple of years where I only did 8 scale. So, I mean, I 100% hadn't qualified for the Worlds that year. So I must have not done any or enough nationals in the two-wheel drive class before. So yeah, I wasn't qualified, but I got sent along because obviously that was 2011. So we were running the 22 for the first time. So I was sent as a piggy to run the inboard car for as much time as the engineer wanted me to. So just to make sure that that wasn't the car to use, basically. And albeit I was kind of there or thereabouts, it was quite obvious that it wasn't really the configuration that was going to maybe win. So round about the end of practice, come the first round, I was told to use the rear motored car. And from being just behind with a car that potentially then wasn't as good or the right one to use, switching onto the car that all my teammates have been using for the past 3 days, then become apparent that I then stepped ahead of everybody, having got used to and trying to keep up with something that wasn't quite right. So it just went, the week went right. I qualified good in the end. And then I think a couple of battles with Cavalieri and Tebow made a roll in the little S section through the middle and gave me that leg. So I won. So yeah, the moral to the story is I didn't qualify. I was asked to go along to the warm-up by Losi, and that was it.
Where was this Worlds to?
Finland, I think.
Okay, Vasa. Everybody keeps saying that's like the best 10 skill Worlds ever in Vasa.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't get to go to the Worlds even as a spectator, but the place was amazing. Yeah, it was a short shoot from the airport. The place was nice, all big trees and very green. Yeah, I do remember it being really nice. All the track was all lined with, I think, blue on the inside. Real nice surface, kind of like not too much grip, but not sliding around. It was all in all pretty good. They had a good setup with the pits and the driver's stand, and even behind, I think there was a racetrack as well of some sort that we kind of went. I remember going and renting something and everyone having a go or whatever it was. But yeah, it was all in all. I can't from the warm up. And I can only imagine the Worlds was a greater place to be again. So, yeah, it was a real all-rounder.
Sweet. I think the highlight of your racing career, as we touched on earlier, was you winning the 2000 and I probably forgot 12 European Champions.
Same year that my son was born.
Excuse me?
Same year that our sons were born.
Yeah, I don't know how I could forget that. But
you won't now that I've said that.
I know. You won it in Austria, a very odd-looking track. You became the first UK driver to ever win this, and I think people have to understand how big of a deal this was. We're talking about guys like Lee Martin, Neil Craig, Jamie Booth. Who else can we say? Graham Aslop. I don't know if Dresser raced much 8 scale, but.
No, not in that time.
Yeah, the UK has had oodles and oodles of talent, but nobody has ever won this race in the European Championship, which I hold. Obviously the Worlds is the biggest race, and then you have like the Nationals and the Euro, and I think the Nationals and the Euros are the two biggest races, other bigger races you can win in the world. And to win this as the first Brit, let's just talk about it, because I did say. I did a video with Ronafel here the other day, and he was saying how he lost this to you in second. And I think I've seen this race. I have to go back and watch it. But yeah, man, let's talk about how you had, you was running Losi, you had AKA, and this was your best result, man. You must have been super chuffed.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, the time went by quick. My son was only 5 or 6 months old, I guess. If it was the middle of the year, by June, he was born in Feb. So yeah, something like that. Adam Drake and Kevin Gahan were sent over from the US to support me. Adam came over with a prepared car. And to be fair, I think that's kind of where racing should be, with all the support. I mean, Kevin was videoing the runs. We were watching where I was driving, what to do, what to make better. And it was just the whole package was just, tyres were good. Nova Rossi engine was good. I think we did less pit stop than Ronafalk. Everything just came together. Adam was great in the pits, just doing it all by himself. Kevin was out there watching and getting a different perspective on it, because he usually recorded it from the back of the track. So just all in all, it was just the full package, and the feeling was great. I mean, it felt like it went so quick, and then you think back and you can't remember much of it, but I think it all just went so well. I mean, we TQ'd 4 out of the 5 rounds, I believe. Semi-final went a little bit wrong because we got a stone stuck in the wheel, and there was a lot of arguments about that, because a lot of people were trying to claim in between the semi-final and the final that the marshal had fixed my car, which isn't allowed. But I mean, they watched like video back, and it was kind of, he picked it up, turned it to the side to have a look, and as I revved it, he could then hear that the wheel wasn't stuck, so he put it down. So I mean, I don't know how much you want to class it that he fixed it, or if it just kind of happened. So right up until almost the start of the main, I didn't even know if I was going to be even allowed in, because I wasn't sure. I mean, you never know with these things. All of a sudden something comes up and bites you. But it was totally dismissed by Dallas at the time. I went and saw him and said, "Look, what's going on?" And he went, "Look, ignore it. Nothing's going to happen." He didn't fix the car. If someone's body shell is stuck, do we then class that as saying, "Oh, well, he fixed the car"? There's a point where you got to stop the stupidityness and just get on with it. So Dallas he just ignored it. He said, "It's rubbish. Carry on. You're going to be in the final." So, but because of that, I only started 6th because of losing some time. Started from 6th. So by the time I got through the pack, Ronafalk had quite a lead. So I had to kind of chase down on that. The pit stop helped that as well. And then we had to kind of race to the line for the last sort of, I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes that I actually, because I think I only led the race for maybe 2 laps, which I guess is the last one is the most important. So yeah, I would certainly never forget it. I remember bits all the way through, and it's memories upon memories that I'll never forget.
I never knew that story about The Rock. But that's pretty interesting. You know, as racers, we complain about everything, and we look, if you're going to be that fast, of course, they're going to try and stop you from getting in. How was working with Adam and Losi at that time? I mean, Adam he does really do some really great pit stops, and that dude knows his shit. Like, let's be realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows everything. We're pretty close. We're still close now. We speak, maybe not most weeks, but certainly a month doesn't go by when we don't have a little catch up. We did a trip, me and my wife, in like 2012 when my son was, it was after the Euros win. Later that year, we came over and did a couple of races, but me and my wife did California for like 6 to 8 weeks. We didn't stay with Adam because his wife Rhonda at the time was training for her career, and she had some stuff going on. So we stayed away. We saw them for dinner and stuff. So yeah, Adam is, I don't think there's anybody out there that quite knows their stuff like Adam does in whatever car he's doing. I mean, he's obviously taken a complete switch to Mugen now, and has a huge impact on that. I mean, Mayfield is an incredible driver. But then I think Adam's brains and everything else is behind that confidence. I don't think there's anyone, well, I know there's not anyone quite like Adam with how he's strategic, and his methods of how he does everything is just like military. But having him in your corner, yeah, I guess is probably the biggest confidence boost I think I could have ever had. I mean, I'm sure there's other people like maybe Rivkin with some of the guys he has in his corner. I guess he has that same feeling. But I guess that's who you find that confidence in. But certainly there's no one, I don't think, in the RC history of how like a guru how Adam works, and he's fully in depth with that. I mean, there's nothing that he doesn't know, nothing he hasn't tried. So big confidence. I'm sure it played a huge part in that result for me at that moment in time. We still speak now, and I'm sure we always will. Yeah.
Yeah. During this time, did you make any? While you was running Losi, did you ever get over to America to race?
Yeah, I went over quite a bit. I mean, even back in the day, back to like 2005, I used to go every year for the Cactus Classic. Couple of A finals over there as well. DNC, I think the earliest DNC I did was 2009.
Okay.
That was when it was back at, where was it? So it used to be at the Fear Farm. Was it the Nitro Pit, I think?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, back in 2009. Still in Arizona, but I think it was the Nitro Pit. Then it went to the Fear Farm. And now it's obviously wherever it is now. So yeah, I've done a fair bit over in the US. Probably most years. One I've never done. Oh, someone at the door. One I've never done. But I've actually I actually made a little list. Probably just before Christmas last year, where of races that when I come back, I want to just go and do off my own back and just have fun at them again. Like the indoor Silver State one, Southern Nationals would be one if it's still in that big place and how it is. Reedy race would be one because I've obviously qualified and been asked many a times, but it was just never on. It was just never on my calendar, having had Losi round the corner. There's no need for me to go when you had Dustin, Truey, all those guys round the corner. So yeah, I've done quite a lot of races across the UK actually. A fair few.
All right, girls, got your
Sweet.
free.
I mean, I think the most notable one is Southern Nats 2015 or 16, I believe.
16, I think that was.
Yeah. And I think it's on the Com Driver for us. I have to check it out. But the people didn't really, other people didn't know who you was. I knew who you was, obviously. And you was like, I believe you beat Mayfield or out-qualified Mayfield or something like that. He was running real fast. I can't remember what happened in your final, but qualifying.
No, nothing really happened.
Okay.
I think we used the wrong tyre in the semi, and I literally qualified into the main last, I believe. Mayfield was pole. But to my, obviously I had to come all the way through the field, and that was a fairly big field with, I mean, Bornhorst, Lutz. I can't even think now. There was a whole pack of guys that I had to come up through, and obviously Mayfield just had a free run from the beginning. He had a tyre coming off, in all fairness, which was what was losing him the time and allowed me to catch up after having lost so much time coming through the pack. So that's in all honesty, that's the tyre that brought us together. And we did race it out nose to tail for quite a lot of the end, with him obviously coming out like 0.4 of a second to the win, or a couple of seconds maybe it felt a bit closer than it was. But it was certainly no more than a couple of breaths of time. That's probably a good feeling as well, knowing that we could at that time, especially with the Agama car being so young, and we could mix it with some of the big guys.
Yeah, I believe that race was fully stacked. Like I said, I got to go to it in 2018. Those guys the track is it's probably one of the best tracks I've ever been to, and it's just awesome. And it's a great facility, air conditioning, all that type of stuff. It's still going on. It's in Race Time, who does like all the PNB races and all that stuff, and in the East Coast of America, that's who has it now. So it's still going to go on. They bought the rights for it, and I believe it's still going to be in the same building. So it should be good.
Good.
And yeah, I mean, you don't really have tracks like that. Well, you kind of do now. Like Redovan is kind of like that, like lots of elevation and big, but.
Yeah, it's still not like that though. I mean, we don't have. Yeah, the elevation is big at Redovan, but the style of the track is nothing like that. I mean, there's a lot of it's just on such a vast area. The lap's so big. Yeah, I mean, we don't have many sort of manufactured built tracks, a bit like Neo Buggy. Neo Buggy is the only one we would have, but then we get to use that 4 days a year. We don't, and obviously the Southern Nationals, I guess, is the similar thing where it gets built for that race. We only have the Neo Buggy here. We don't have many. We have quite a built series. So our Nationals, 10th scale and 8th scale and Euros all kind of take up quite a lot of our year. We've got 5 e-buggy Nationals, 5 Rallycross Nationals, Euros warm up, and then you've got all the national warm ups. So every round kind of holds its own. This is our national warm up. It's the last chance for everyone to get down. So by the time you've done 5 nationals in each class, a few warm ups, you're already 25 weekends down. Then you've got a week for the Euros, which is 2 more weekends, then a warm up for it. You're kind of 30 weekends down with just nationals and Euros. And that's not to say even if like the other guys do the 10th scale nationals as well. So they've got another 5 or 6 weekends thrown in there. So our year is kind of all made up of championships. Whereas I know, speaking a lot with Billy lately, a lot of the US is one-off race. It's kind of, you kind of pick and choose what you want to go to.
Yeah,
and I think that's where it comes from. We get our tracks are a lot, not rougher as in bumps, but they're just a lot more. They've been there a long time. They've been on that land at the same time. Whereas you guys go to a lot of tracks that have kind of only just been built.
Well, that's the American style. They do a lot of rebuilds, and it's just Europeans. Like the footprint pretty much stays the same. I do actually like the fact that the UK has a series. I would like to see it in the USA more, like kind of it used to be with Roar. But yeah, it everything has its pluses and negatives, I would say. But
absolutely,
that's a lot of time to be away. Like you said, warm ups, then the actual race, and then practice. That's a lot of time to be away racing, away from your family. You know, other things to do in life besides race RC cars.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So after 16 years of running Losi, what changed your mind, and why did you decide to go Nemo?
There just wasn't much of a team left. It felt. A lot of the guys had broken away. A lot had changed. The kind of team effort kind of went away. No real juniors. So I kind of saw the opportunity with Nemo as like a breath of fresh air. Really hungry for it again, which is kind of where I placed myself. I mean, we turned up to the first Euros and finished 3rd in 2014 again. We turned up to Montpellier, the first of the year, finishing 2nd. I don't know if you know about that race with Robert Battle.
I don't know about that particular race, but I definitely know about Montpellier. It's a hard track.
Yeah, there was Montpellier 2014 was like the first race out, or it might have been 15, 14. I looked at the trophy board just the other day because I actually cleared the garage out and I put all these trophy boards, all these trophies, all up in the loft. I'm sure it was one of the first races times out. I literally was leading and we had like 4 corners to go and we ran out of fuel. So it was certainly joining Nemo was certainly a breath of fresh air, and that, not the kick, but certainly a newborn enthusiasm from the people around you, as well as they had some good juniors like Johnny Skidmore, Leon Good at the time, who after all that time of being in industry and taking a lot from other people, I felt it would actually be nice to be part of a team where hopefully someone can take something from me and we can help out. And I don't know if that played out to be that sort of how can I put it? I don't think I played that part maybe as much as sort of I would have liked to have hoped. With obviously not much tracks around, busy times, they all led their own way, to be fair. With some of them ending up right up there now, like Johnny's just joined Mugen, and hopefully when we get back racing, he's going to have a great year. So that was it, really. That was why. Just a new start, breath of fresh air, younger team, more enthusiasm, and some juniors and some people to enjoy your experience and your share your knowledge with, really.
Good stuff. It was said back in the day that the Agama was a Losi copy, or very similar to the Losi. Did your knowledge carry on from Losi to this? Did it make it easier to make the switch?
Yeah, in some ways it was nice because I remember the first time I sat in my shed to build it, and it did feel so. I mean, it was a copy. It was the same idea. I mean, you could tell from how everything was. But then in other ways, I actually feel like now I'm kind of ready to try the other ones, and it feels like I've driven a Losi now for all that time, if you know what I mean, because it was so similar. I've never ever even done tried a pivot ball, or obviously we changed to C hub on the Agama for the last couple of years. But yeah, I've never really driven anything outside of that. So it was similar and it was nice, but then it was also would have been nice to have driven something different.
So it sounds like you're looking at driving something with balls here in the future when you come back.
Yeah, so I've got as well as Adam, I've got some really good friends in the UK, the Lewis family. They currently drive associated for CML. And I've always been good friends with those. We travelled. They were with me, like back at TLR. We were kind of the ones holding it all up and taking the tents. We were the travelling TLR team, really. I mean, I shared lists with those to like the Reims Euros in 2013, and we got a lot of history. So naturally, it would either be choosing a Mugen with Adam, or AE to be with the Lewises. And seeing as obviously Adam is however many thousand miles away, I guess the Mugen tie-up wouldn't be too close. I don't feel I'd get that friendship bit from it unless I traveled to the US every month, which isn't going to happen. So it would be really nice to get back out there. And the plan was just to go along with the Lewises, have a go, have a little tickle around with their car and get maybe a club race under my belt. And obviously none of that's happened, but that's still the plan. I speak with them all the time. And we actually had a practice day scheduled in for like April the 21st, but obviously that's been and gone and crushed now. So yeah, there's two reasons. I think the AE looks to be a great car. CML, I am bang smack in the middle of where TLR and CML kind of still are. They're only about an hour from me. So it'd just be nice, to get AE, and mainly back with the Lewises and just having fun. That's the whole idea. I've got away from racing to get a real job, get on with things like that, earn more money. I'm in the second phase of that now, where I'm kind of looking for a 5-day week because I still work some weekends. By the end of this year, hopefully I'll just be doing Monday to Friday, and that will free up time to do family stuff and dabble of racing when I want for fun.
Good stuff. So when you was with Nemo, that was your full-time job as well?
Yeah. So just the racing, the testing, everything like that.
Okay. Nemo Racing has grown substantially in the UK and Europe, and for some time you was the top driver, the only top driver that they had. So some of that has to be contributed to you. What do you feel has been one of the key to Nemo's success in the UK and Europe?
Certainly their sort of hand-to-mouth way that they run it, with obviously having a trailer, no kind of warehouse where they leave everything. No one really goes there. They're very obviously with the trailer towing it round. They've got like people can come in, have a chat. That is all really nice. However, I think it's proven that it's got to be very difficult to take everything round with you, and you ended up taking too much, and you're carrying around all this stuff that some weekends people don't want, some weekends people want too much, and you all of a sudden set a rod up your own back that you can't keep up with what you once wanted to do. I mean, there's no other places that obviously do it like that. So it is nice. It is trying to stop all customers having to buy 10 sets of tires to take with them. And so the method is there. But then on the other hand, the whole racing community is so used to buying their own stuff and taking it with them that actually it's not such a big deal. So yeah, I think that's their success is obviously having the stuff there for a good amount of years. They had good products, and it was there for people to buy when they needed it.
Yeah, I see Billy is trying to do the same thing in the USA. At DNC, I got to share part of the pit space to do my podcast and look inside his badass camper trailer that they have. It's really nice. Spent a lot of time talking to Lutz too. Great dude. And they really have some good guys over in America. Tyler Jones, obviously Lutz, young Brandon Rose, and Steve Harris. So hopefully it works out for them. But like you said, this COVID thing's kind of hit us all hard. So it's odd, man. It's odd. And
yeah,
I think Nemo also brought a very professional look to their pits over in the UK. I was looking at their pits at DNC at DXR last year, as well as at the Martin Keynes or Milton Keynes, GP, British GP, and with the gray tents and everybody in the shirts, jackets. You know, they look like really nice. Like so, and I don't know John Hazelwood per se much. I've tried to get him on this podcast. He's a busy man, I know that. So I don't know, but being a world's finalist and whatnot, and also being a powerhouse in 8 scale when he was around, I guess that helps as well. So I don't know. It seems like they're doing a good thing in Europe. It's just now it's trying to transfer it over to America, which I think is proven to be a challenge like anything else. So good stuff.
I think it always is. Obviously, America, you've got to carry more stuff again. It just does become obviously a weight over your shoulders as to moving it all around, keeping it all stocked. And I think it's one of those things where if your business model is we've got it all here, obviously you then need to obviously keep it all in and make sure it's all there. So you kind of get a heavier hit if you don't have something because you're expected to have it. So it's a great idea, and Billy does so well. He's a good friend of mine as well. I think it's the harder you try, the harder you fall, I guess. If you're supposed to have everything in there, you need to make sure it's all in there.
Billy's a great dude. We agree on a lot of things. We chat often. He's passionate, super passionate dude, and I like talking to him. I like teasing him about smiling, and it gets him pissed off. But it's hard, man, and we'll talk about a little bit about that, like RC now, future of RC and stuff like that. But it's really hard, you know. Small companies trying to make it in a small niche. That's I think people honestly don't realize how small RC racing is. Like what we do is really small. And
I think that was one of the things I realized, that it can't go on forever. It can't sustain the big full paid drivers. It doesn't need that. In my opinion, it doesn't need that. You just need it. It hasn't televised. It hasn't done anything like that yet. I mean, hey, it may well do. It may well do. Who knows? But I do struggle to think, like, obviously the wages they're spending out and the stuff they're spending out. Who knows if none of those were there? Would it not be as big? Would it not be as fun? I mean, every racing industry needs its peers. It needs its the ones you look up to. But on the other hand, it's not a multi-million-pound thing that like F1, where you've got however many hundreds of thousands of people watching every weekend or every other weekend. So that was probably one of the things that shied me away as well, just to get away from it, get a proper job, and then just enjoy the racing and not have to worry if it was going to stop, or if, I mean, you see these waves of drivers getting cut all the time. I mean, look at the Infinity thing, that just dropped, obviously. And you kind of, had enough of kind of thinking, oh, would it be next year? Would it end this year? It's just like, you know what? I don't want to mess around doing it anyway. So let's just make the decision myself.
Yeah, well, that was kind of my next question. What ultimately was your decision to leave Nemo? Did you leave on good terms with them? To me, it sounds like you kind of just got burnt out and stress. Like I try to tell people, like, I travel a little bit, and like staying in janky hotels, being away from your family. Just, I know a lot of things comes down with the pro drivers. Where you finish is contingency money. So you want to make, you obviously, the higher you finish, the more money you make. So all that becomes stressful after a while. And it sounds like throughout your career, you raced everything and raced a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we did get around quite a bit. I mean, Nemo kind of there was a point where they concentrated their time on going to small, if not tiny races, like practice days sometimes almost. And I think that was time. We have a lot of time spent at Euros and Nationals where you can't really step out of the box and try something because you need to keep up with the national you're racing at. Then when you fill the other weekends with small races, like very small races where you're down at random tracks that aren't very good tracks at all, so you can't really learn much from that again. I just felt that my time as a professional racer in that clique wasn't giving me the best chance of winning. So it was then also doubled up with the fact that obviously my son's 8, he does trials bikes and BMXing, so he wants to be out on a Saturday and Sunday, and obviously my dad was always there to take me to that. So I just felt like it was time to change, get into a real job, and have the time to take him out and do the stuff he wants to do. Because it is a lot of weekends. I mean, it's all of them. Let's face it, all of them. Even when a bank holiday comes up, you think, oh yeah, nice 4 days off. But actually, then you've got Neo Buggy, and then you've got this other big race. And if it's another weekend, you're then in Montpellier. And it was just, yeah, it's just the wrong kind of hours for what I wanted my life to consist of. So I changed it.
Would you encourage your son to get into RC if he wanted to do it?
Yeah, if he wanted to have a go. He's got a little associated 2-wheel drive, like short course truck, you know, the little black Rockstar one, 10th scale. He's got one of them. He's got a few batteries. He just has a go around the garden, and we put wood up and down. We've got like a split level garden, so we put wood up and down, and he jumps up and down, and he's got a little bit over in the corner where he can make it backflip, and he's pretty good. He just drives it around, but he doesn't have any. He hasn't had any real interest. Over this lockdown, he has said, oh, when we're out, can we go to that track we used to go to? Because he used to come with practice days with me. And I said, oh, which one? And he was explaining it. And I said, oh, Westmill. He said, yeah, I'd like to just have a go round. So he wants to have a go round, but he loves his trials bike. I mean, he's on his second trials bike now. We got him his second brand new one for Christmas, large, bigger size. And he just loves it. He loves... I mean, trials isn't speed, but he loves just being on wheels and physically being connected with doing something. I don't think the RC has ever sparked him like that. But I wouldn't stop him doing it. If he wants to do it, we'd go and do it. But yeah, I don't think it's going to take on to him.
Do you ever, at your regular job, sit back? By the way, what do you do for a living now? Just curious.
So I'm an Audi car salesman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever get in a conversation saying, hey, I used to be a professional RC car driver? And do you ever think some days at work, like, shit, some days I just want to go back to being a driver?
So yeah, obviously driving the cars was always fun. It was a fairly, if you're single and on your own, then obviously it's a great experience. I've seen a lot of places out there. I mean, my son's 8, but I've been traveling the world since 2004 or something. So there's a good 10 years of traveling there without him being around. And it's one of those. I mean, yeah, sometimes I do think, oh, why did I stop? And then obviously it quickly comes back to me when I have to work a frigging weekend at car sales. And then I think, oh, well, this was what it was every weekend. So then it quickly comes back to thinking, oh, I know why I did it. But yeah, that, like you said a bit earlier, there's always positives and negatives for any change. I love the hobby. I'm going to get to have another go at it. So that's not an issue. But I do miss, as much as I hated the traveling because of an ulterior reason. Yeah, just chilling out with Billy and all the guys that I have done over time. A part of the hotels is fun, and then a part of the hotels, when you're winning, the hotels is fun, but when you're losing, the hotels are pretty boring.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's positives and negatives to all of it. Sometimes I want to go back and have another go, purely because I miss RC cars. Sometimes I want to go back because I think, oh, it'd be nice to travel out somewhere today and see somewhere different and whatever. And then other days I'm like, nope, I'm happy working half a mile from home and going home at 5 o'clock.
I can understand that. Did your split with Nemo? Are you still friends? Are you still cool with John Hazelwood, the guys at Nemo, or how did that end up going?
Yeah, we didn't really speak much after, but then I haven't really spoke to. I mean, it's been what, a year. I mean, nationals finish around September, I guess. So it's been like a year and a bit since September that I finished, because I didn't do nationals. Literally, the first time I haven't raced a car was last year. I didn't drive an RC car in 2019. I finished the nationals in 2018. It kind of it finished pretty quickly. I did it all the right way, went and told John, everything like that. He was obviously going through quite a lot at home anyway. So we kind of had a very vague 2 years with other stuff going on. My head not quite in it, him with other stuff going on. So I think it all just kind of boiled over in the end and just gave me the push to go and do something else, which was scary at the time, but now it's fine. So I wouldn't say it ended badly. We haven't caught up as of yet, but there's certainly no reason for me to have any issue there or anything like that. I wish them all the best. I see they got their own track up and running now, and John never does anything by half. So I can only imagine that's a great facility, and we need it. We need it in the UK. All the guys out there that are still racing, they need it. I try to tell my guys all the time, you guys just don't understand the facilities that we go to out in Europe, let alone the US. We really are not spoilt for tracks in the UK. So, hey, if anyone's gonna stump up the money and do it and try and make something of it, I'll certainly go and pay my money if they let me to have a go. So, fair play to them. It's good. We need tracks. And as I say, in the few shots I've seen, it looks great. So, brilliant news.
Yeah, it does look good. AstroTurf on the infield. Did you, when you resigned or retired, did you get any offers from any other companies to come race for them?
Yeah, I still get them now, to be fair. Email still goes, or text message goes, hey, when are you gonna race again? No one ever disappears forever. They always come back. When you come back, do you want to use this? Do you want to do that? Offers were everywhere, to be honest. I can't remember the last time I had a little nudge from anyone, probably just before Christmas. But yeah, I know a lot of people out there, so a lot of people can just text me or ring me when they want. I know Tony Evdoka at Serpent can always obviously pick up the phone to me, anyone from CML. There's so many guys I know over the 20 years that, and obviously if they weren't racing for the same team as me now, they can obviously call me, and it's all a pretty friendly thing. So yeah, I hear from people all the time just to say, what you doing? Do you want to come and have a go? I know Freddie. Freddie's always on at me. Come and drive 10th scale again. Yeah,
that's how I actually we got in contact through Freddie. He listens to the podcast quite a lot, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Freddie Russell.
Yeah, good. I mean, the one time I have said to him, if you tell me, because I know, have you heard of this retro class that they do in the UK?
Yeah, like vintage stuff.
Vintage, sorry, yeah. I have said to Freddie, if they make like a 1990s vintage class for rear-motored two-wheel drive cars on dirt, I'll be there. But the whole 10th scale scene and inboard motor thing just does not thrill me anymore. It's certainly dirt and the natural movement of the cars sliding around is what I'm in for. And even on dirt, the inboard motors don't really drive like that anymore. So.
Do you, looking back on your career and your decisions, do you have any regrets whatsoever?
I lost you there.
Oh, sorry. I said, looking back on your career, do you have any regrets?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, I always felt like I'd done my best at the races. I mean, I was always one to moan that we don't have the facilities here to test. I mean, we could only really go to Westmill, which was a very weird track compared to everything else we went on. And I guess I was always one to moan that we didn't have. I wish I had the facilities of the US and stuff and everything they've got over there, even the weather. I mean, we pretty much get 5 months of the year where we can go out and guarantee it's going to be nice when you wake up. So really limited. And then most of that period is spent doing nationals and Euros. So I don't think there's any regrets. I think there's just kind of a small wish that I was probably in the US rather than in Europe.
Now that you've been outside of RC for a few years, have you been following it or anything like that?
Yeah, it's been really strange. I mean, I've followed probably all of it. I've probably still open Neo Buggy on my phone 55,000 times a day. I don't know why. I don't know why I expect to be popping on there, but it's just natural. I don't have FaceTime or Instagram or any crap like that. So when I pick my phone up, it's either the news or RC. And so I followed all of it. Yeah, I followed all of it. I'm pretty friendly with the Killix as well in Germany that are now Mugen. I've kind of followed everything they do. And then everything like AE do in the UK. But then just generally followed the trend of racing anyway. Because in Europe, everyone's kind of always in one place. I know America kind of gets split up and there's quite a lot of races that Lutz will do that Drake won't or that sort of thing. But in the UK, where if Elliot's in Europe, if someone's somewhere, most of them are probably there because there's not much going on. If a race is on, there's not really another big one. So yeah, I've followed all of it. The weirdest thing from watching from the outside is, I guess, just quite how much we traveled and how much there was just the non-spectator. I don't know, just a really different view of it, I guess. I just wish everyone would take a step back and just go back to enjoy. I mean, I remember the days where every round we'd finish racing and go and play football or a water fight or this or that. And stuff should have got better in terms of technology, that we're doing less stuff because we've got some pre-glued tires, everyone's more prepared, but it all just seems to be very much just for the racing nowadays, which is a shame because 98% of the people that are there are just there they're actually just there for the fun and the hobby. And I think one would just be if it would just could be few more fun races. Everyone wants to win, and that's fine. We can do that, but there's nothing else outside of it. It doesn't seem.
Did you get by chance happen to watch any of the RCGP stuff from last year? And what's your thoughts? Because I'm a strong believer that we have professionals in RC, right? Obviously, you was one of them, but I'm a strong believer that we need to have a definitive line between amateur and professional. We kind of don't have that in RC. You know, everybody is a pro, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I think with that definitive line, yes, we'll still have competition in the amateur class, but at least they have something to shoot for. The pros can still be pros, and then everybody else can still. I think people can still have fun. So yeah,
pros and Joes, isn't it? Something like
I wouldn't even say pros and Joes, just like motocross, amateur. You have like in the States, you have Loretta Lynn's and all that stuff. It's just super competitive. But there's lots of people that ride motocross and race motocross for the fun of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And RC kind of needs to be like that. I do agree with you. We need to bring it back and be fun. I've kind of changed my attitude towards. I'm strictly racing. I love racing, but it's been brought up a few times. In fact, I just did a podcast for On the Turn, and I talked to Brad Geck from Associated, and they both said the same thing, and I agree with this. We are too intimidating for new people. And I think that kind of leads to what you're saying. Everybody's trying to be so serious, and everybody thinks if they just win this race, they're going to be a pro. And they don't know how much work and how much dedication, sacrifice goes into actually doing what you used to do. So I think, and it's just hard because there's no definitive line. So if we had that where people are like, well, I have to be a pro, I have to do this, this, and that, I can do it. Or like, oh, that's what it takes to be a pro? I'm just going to have fun. And I think we'll get more people into it. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, certainly what you said earlier is too kind of intimidating for people to join. I remember, again, back in the day, we used to do races and I don't know if these places even exist anymore, but we used to do things at like automotive shows and all that sort of stuff. And I think that would hopefully still, I don't know why the companies wouldn't want to do it, because that's new people to buy their stuff. All we keep trying to do is go to the same track and sell the same 150 people your own stuff, whereas no one really tries to bring anyone else in. And I think you're exactly right. I don't know the answer. Don't get me wrong, I don't know the answer, but it certainly is just right. Where's the next race? Where's the next flight? Where's the next hotel? And we kind of just travel across on our own, and no one really keeps up with us, or some people watch from online. And I mean, one of the biggest crowds you'll get is DNC. I'll never forget their like 20, I don't know what it was, 15, 16 or 17, something like that. And that thing's got a huge track all around the outside. You've got people on hay bales. You've got people on top of camper vans. You've got people on the containers around the side, people hanging off the side of the driver's stand. I mean, there's people everywhere watching it. And yeah, they are only RC racers, but that is one of the biggest RC races, or no, that is the biggest RC race I've seen with the crowd stuck around it. We're actually making something of it. The build-up, like we don't have any build-up to most races to the A mains. People are already packing up. People have already left. People are already pulling their trailers out of there and going. It's whereas most, like you go and watch a Supercross event, there's more people sat in the stands for the mains than there is any other stuff. That's the build-up to the fireworks and everything. Whereas we don't seem to build that momentum. Our race seems to have the same interest and level of people there at 8 o'clock on the first day compared to 5 o'clock for main day. We don't really build that momentum through it.
Too much time qualifying, man. I think too much time qualifying, too much time at the track. People want to get home on Sunday, you know? And I think the other part of it, and I've always been kind of a bit along the lines of what you've been saying, where, I mean, we've got nationals, we've got so many people at nationals that their final might finish at 8:30 in the morning. They don't want to wait until 4:30 to watch the main. They may as well head home for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, have lunch and sit in the garden for the afternoon. Yeah.
They don't want to wait out that long. So would it be better having smaller nationals, and then hopefully people would come along, spend all weekend at home, but come along and pop out for the main or something like that. And then they have their own series where the other drivers go and support them. Whereas you go to club meetings and the pros are still trying to win. So they're busy, they're tied up, they're doing stuff. So the amateurs don't get any respect, or they don't get any level of, here, let's do this for you. And then you go to the big races where the drivers are again tied up, busy, trying to win. So the amateurs are just driving around, and no, everyone needs to forget that without the amateurs, we wouldn't have pro races anyway. So
I agree.
I've always been a believer that it needs to be different, but again, I'm not one to make a statement or have the answer, because I don't think there is a right answer. I think it's just somehow we need to remold it and do something different, but I'm probably not going to be the Pied Piper leading that one.
It's a lot of work, dude. Trust me, been heavily involved with RCGP and Joseph and all this stuff in the last 2 years. It's very difficult to change the thinking of people we've been doing this for 30 years. Well, it's kind of, we need to do something different. So I'll send you some links to the YouTube videos and whatnot from RCGP. It's pretty cool. And whatnot. Have you picked up any other hobbies in your time away from RC?
Yeah, I do. What do? I do a bit of golf. I've got my motorbike in the garage. Just going to be going out this afternoon.
Yeah. That's nice. You sent me a picture of it.
Yeah. Golf, motorbike. I'd do anything, to be honest. If my friends are saying, "Oh, we got this bit of mountain biking," I've got. My son does guitar at school, and in lockdown, he was struggling to have a go at it and learn. And so I went on eBay and bought an electric guitar. He does just the wooden, whatever one it's called. But I went and bought an electric guitar, and we just mash around together. And I learning through his book some of the most soppy songs that have ever been played on electric guitar, probably. So anything really, anything. Motorbike and golf is the main two. But then I spend a lot of time with Warwick, my son, doing his trials. So we do that like every Wednesday evening. Any time we get a chance, really. And what with the winter just been, I spend a lot of time cleaning the thing.
Well, are we talking about like trail riding or trials like hopping from rocks and different obstacles?
Yeah, trials from like rocks and up ledges. And he's in the early stages of that. So that's cool. It's good. And the only thing is with it is obviously most of the events are Saturdays. So I only get to go to a few, which is why I'm in the second stage of changing what I do again. just to allow. I think Monday to Friday, it should be illegal to work weekends, I think. That's the conclusion I've come to.
Yeah, man. Well, it sounds like you're in a good place now. You're enjoying life. You spend a lot of time with your son, your family. Like you said, you just need a job that doesn't take up your weekend, so you can do more of that. And I fully understand that, man.
Yeah, well, I've had a taste of not working the weekends, and that tasted nice. So now I don't want to work any.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. Especially when I was over there working in the UK, I only got one weekend off every 4 weeks, so it was horrible. But
yeah, just surviving.
Yeah, well, hey, I tell you what, man, I was making pretty good money down there under the crossroad. If you ever go to Tottenham Court Road and use the tube, that whole station and all where you wait for the new part is like where I was working. So,
oh, okay, yeah, all my cousins work on the underground.
Oh yeah, we built it, so it was some interesting stuff there. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I have a section of this podcast called the 10 question, 10 second segment. I don't send these questions to you. Some are RC related, some are non-RC related. And basically, you got to try and answer them with one word answers, or you can explain which way you want. So are you ready for the 10 question, 10 second segment?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So number one, I know what your answer is going to be already. Astro or dirt?
Dirt.
Okay. Number two, what's your favorite frosty beverage?
Jack Daniels and Coke.
Do you like them in the cans? I used to love getting those things.
No, I've never really had it in a can.
Yeah, I used to get them all the time in England, pre-mixed. Oh, man. You are from the UK, so I don't know if you're into this, but cricket, football, or rugby, which one do you like the most?
Football, if I did. I'm not into any of them.
Really? Okay. So maybe my next question.
I mean, I'll play any of them for hours for fun in a field with anyone else, but to watch, they're a bit boring.
Okay. Your favorite form of full-scale racing?
Motocross.
Okay, well, who's your favorite motocross rider?
I mean, there's obviously a few that I've watched out there, and I've watched some of the documentaries and stuff. I mean, Dungey. I like Dungey. All this, I can't remember his name. Who's the guy that was like shining all the lasers and kind of the badass?
Mike Alessi.
Yeah. I remember all the stories about him. Don't get me wrong, I don't watch it religiously, but I love to go and watch it. It's not something that I religiously follow. It's hard to. I think it's hard to follow from here. I've never really asked anyone how I follow it.
All right. Well, number 5, you showed me your bike. Do you follow the British Super Bowl, or do you follow motorbike racing at all? I did when I was in the UK. If so, what's your favorite track in the UK?
Favorite track in the UK? Well, obviously Silverstone is prestigious for us all. I think that's like the pinnacle. Do you mean favorite track RC or favorite track?
No, like favorite full scale track. You have quite a few. I've been to Croft, Donington Park, Snetterton.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be Silverstone for the pinnacle, and then Donington purely because of back in the day of playing TOCA touring cars. That kind of stands out. I've never driven around any of them myself, and I don't watch any of that kind of sport that entails those smaller tracks. So it's kind of a hard question for me. But Silverstone for the pinnacle, and then Donington because of TOCA touring cars back in the day. I'll never forget that game.
Okay. Number 6, fish and chips or a UK Sunday dinner?
Well, it depends who's cooking the Sunday dinner, but probably Sunday dinner.
Yeah, I like me some Yorkshire puddings and roasted potatoes. And oh man, I missed that. I wasn't really a fish and chip guy because I like fresh fish from the ocean.
Okay, yeah, well, you're spoiled.
Yeah, there we go. Number 7, who was your biggest RC rival?
Biggest RC rival? I guess it depends what period you're talking about, but biggest RC rival, that's tough. What have other people said for that?
Anybody who's racing against them on the track.
Well, yeah, sure.
A few guys like I don't like to lose to Mayfield. I don't like to lose to this person.
who I wouldn't like to lose to.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't like to. If we were racing this weekend, we're going out. I wouldn't like to lose to Elliot, probably.
Boots or Stafford?
Boots.
Okay.
Elliot Boots, yeah, probably, because I think he's clawed himself to the top of the UK, and I guess he would be the one to. You got to take down the biggest, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, number 8 would be, what is your favorite track? You've been to quite a few, so what's your favorite track you've ever been to? If you could go back there again.
Favorite track ever. I mean, obviously Austria stands out because of winning there, but actual most fun to drive, I guess the DNC track's always.
Okay.
Not a specific one, just the way, just those big open US tracks.
Got you. Number 9, brown sauce or ketchup?
Ketchup.
And my number 10 was going to be Man City or Man United, but you don't really follow football, so.
No, but it would be probably Man United.
Yeah, we can't be friends.
And that purely comes based on, and I don't follow football, so my statement might even be wrong, but I guess Man City just bought their wins, whereas Man United are a through and through team.
Blasphemy. All good, man. It's all appreciative. I argue with a lot of my UK friends on this, so it's all good. I want to thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I know you're, been kind of out of RC, so I do appreciate you coming on and doing an interview with me. I always wanted to know more about you and how you got started, and I think it was a great chat with you, and I appreciate it. Would you like to say thank you or shout out to anybody before we sign off here?
Yeah, just thanks to Freddie for getting you in touch with me. It's always delightful. It's no problem for me to do.
Fred is awesome. He doesn't smile much, though. I remember when I saw him at races, he always looked so serious. And
he's only smiling when he's making money.
Yeah, he's got some good glue, tire glue, and all that stuff. He's got his web shop coming along. He's a great supporter of the podcast too. Yeah,
FF Racing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. You go spend some time with Wark. That's a cool name. I like that too. And for your son. And maybe hopefully when I get over to Europe, I'll see you racing. I hope you get back racing somewhere and enjoy it, man.
Yeah, definitely. It will happen. It will happen.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
See you, Keenan. Bye-bye. Bye.
The No Name RC podcast is brought to you by BK Servos. These servos have awesome performance for a great value. High performance servos, especially models like the DS7002 HV, super fast and precise, a cost a fraction of comparable super high end servos. The DSSHT model has more torque than anything out there, and again, for an excellent price. Burt Camera, BK Servos. If you're interested in some BK servos, you can go to www.bkhobbies.com. Use the code TheNoName and get 15% off your purchase. Thank you, BK Servos, for your support, and please show them some love. For the No Name RC podcast listeners, check out their servos, use the coupon code, and save some dough. Joining me this week on the podcast, I know it was released this Tuesday, Flying Cars. Most of us have watched it. They've been on a few other podcasts, Extra Lap, State of RC, MBM podcast, but I think we are the first podcast to get them after the show, I guess it's the premiere, or the premiere was in a movie theater, but this was the first time it's been available to the public. I myself paid my $10 and watched it the other day, Tuesday morning. I'd like to welcome Trent and Dave, the minds behind the Flying Cars movie. What's up, guys? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Great.
So,
thanks for having us.
What's up? I thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. So I guess the words I'm going to say is finally this has been released. I know it was released a few years, like last year, I think, but I mean now out to where everybody can see it. How does it feel?
Yeah. It was great. I mean, gosh, you know how this has been. It's like since 2016, we shot this late 2016. So it's been over 3 years of continuous labor and effort to get this thing going until it's finally into people's TVs, you know? So it feels great to like talk about it finally. Like nobody's seen it, so now we can finally start the conversations we've been wanting to have for years now. It feels great for me.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it's 2020. You filmed this in 2004 years. What took so long to actually get it on these? To get it out to the public? What was the major holdup?
Mainly, not mainly. There's a bunch of different things. Because it's an independent feature, it's self-funded. So there was never like some big budget, set up in advance to like carry it through from like finish to theatrical or something, for instance. So every bit of the way we had to like fight and scrap away for more money to finish it, whether it was the sound or the soundtrack or the editing. Like every piece took more money to kind of finish. And then, once we got it finished, we submit to Film Fest and kind of we're doing the film festival circuit for a little bit. And then from there, you get a distributor. From there, then you go to, your home entertainment kind of release. So everything took longer than we thought every step of the way. I wish I had like one answer for that, but my original thought was like, oh, well, under a year it'll be out, and it's just everything took longer. So, and, real life was happening and we have our own jobs and our own work. So yeah, I was just like trying to balance it all. It was tough.
Yeah, I know all about that. I mean, I work for JQ Racing, and literally it's just myself, him, and maybe another person. And he's been doing this for 10 years. I've been doing it for 3. And money, man, it always comes down to money. Like, like I can relate to this dude in lack of money in this film. All right, we'll get into the film in a little bit, but I understand where that comes from. Like, to get things done takes time. If you had the money, obviously things would get done a lot faster. So that's kind of like the story of our lives as well at JQ Racing. So
yeah, yep, yeah.
So a little background. I believe I listened to one of you guys' podcasts. One of you guys actually, was it you, Trent, or Dave? Had some RC cars growing up. You didn't really race. But you had RC cars when you were younger, then you got some when you was later on in life. You got into jumping them, and I think you even tried to go race at one point at Hot Rods.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of I think why the film itself is the way it is because this was a very personal story to me, and so the way I relate to RC cars is always from like the hobbyist, non-racing side of things. It was like very much like a backyard local BMX dirt jump area, kind of a hobby for me. So I think the movie is always going to have that element in it, and just like me in real life, I think the protagonist too, he kind of dabbles in racing, but kind of realizes like he's not in it to win it, like that's just a little too, it's too much for him. And just like for me, it was too much for me. Like I dabbled in it and I was like, this is not like, I appreciate it. And I've always been around it in terms of like RC Car Action magazine and stuff, but I just was like, that wasn't like where I wanted to go with it, like rock crawling, kind of bashing, all that kind of stuff was way more where I approached it from. And some friends of mine too, growing up in the same way. So yeah, I think that's why the movie has that slant. And I think the racetrack stuff was like kind of exciting. And that's why we have it in the trailer a lot. But, it's a balance for me. And I think I wanted to make it as real to myself as possible.
Yeah, I was on another podcast last week and we was talking about bashers and racers, and we came to a conclusion that it's 80% bashers and 20% racers. As much as we racers like to think that this is we're the God's gift to RC and this is the biggest thing, we're the biggest thing in RC, the bashing crowd is what pays for our racing, pretty much, for companies that have bashing, regular bashing products. So I can definitely see that. I got Dave. What about you? Any RC influence coming up, or any knowledge about RC?
Oh, sorry, that was Dave. So
Trent. I'm confused with you guys' voices. Sorry about that, Trent.
No, right. It's all right. Are you asking how I met Dave or how I got into RC?
Yeah. Have you had any RC experiences as well, or anything before this race?
No,
this movie.
Honestly, as kids, I just played with RC cars that you would find in the Sears catalog or at stores. We didn't have anything too legit. And then the way I was introduced to this world was through Dave. He brought me the script, and I read through the script and we talked about making this movie. And then just through all the research we did, whether that was YouTube videos or going to tracks, or especially as we started to release the film, going back out to the JBRL Hot Rod Hobbies track and promoting this, like it's been really fun to like get deeper into the world. And
and learn as much as possible. Driving our car that we used in the Mood was really fun. Those things go ridiculously fast. So it's really hard to control. So anyway, I was a little intimidated when I actually grabbed the remote control and tried it, but it was fun, like it was exhilarating.
I'm kind of curious to see how the reception was for you guys going to these races and approaching RC people. What was the reception that you received from them?
It kind of varied, like most of the time, every time we showed up to an event or a track, we were already in contact with the owner or the guy who ran the event. Mm-hmm. So, in some level, like at least they were involved and kind of knew about it. But, most of the racers, unless it was like team associated, particularly, they were aware. Most people had no idea what we were doing. So we kind of they would ask questions and stuff and we would tell them, and everybody was pretty enthusiastic. They were racing though. So that was the hard part of like, this is a cool project you're doing, but like I have to go, dude. So it was a lot of that, like, can we have 3 minutes of your time to shoot some stuff next to your setup here, and then we'll let you go race and stuff like that. So it was a very good reception, but also you could tell these guys were there to work and they were serious. So you only have so much time before they were kind of, all right, gotta go.
Understandable. How did Team Associated get involved in it?
So what we did initially, I wrote the script and it was like, well, let's try to get some funding for it. Anything to like help, offset our own costs. So I just reached out with Trenton to emails and phone calls to all the big companies, Traxxas, Associated. We did Losi, Horizon Hobbies, Tower, A-Main, every single one. And we pretty much talked to every single person, like at all those places, got to their pretty top level marketing people. And just one thing after another led to like money falling out. No one really wanted to commit much to it, but Associated from the beginning was kind of the only one who was like, we like the project. We can't really help fund it, but we can definitely help you out. So they invited us down to their headquarters. We got to meet with them in their little office, getting to see all their old RC10 models around and stuff. That was fun. So they read the script. They were like, we'll give you the cars for it. We'll help you with the racers and give you some like sponsorship kind of banners and posters and stuff, and just kind of help you out in general. So yeah, they were just receptive from the beginning and really just the most down to earth kind of partners in the whole thing. Yeah, they were great.
Awesome. AE seems to be very open-minded about a lot of those things. I just recently interviewed Brad Geck, who's in charge. I think it was last week before last podcast. Great dude. Richard Saxon, all those guys are great people at Associated. They've been doing this for a long time. I'm glad somebody did reach out and see the potential for doing something like this. How long did this take from thought process to finish? Like the script and then actually filming? I guess how long did the script take and then actually filming and finishing up the film?
Well, the script was pretty quick. I written another script before this. It was way too big and drawn out. And then I scrapped that project and decided to write this kind of more personal local story. It probably took me like 3 months or so. I write in the library down the street. So I'd say about 3 months of trying to hit the library pretty consistently. And then from there, maybe another 3 months or so of kind of doing revisions, edits and stuff. I think when it was all said and done, it was probably about a year from when I started writing to like when we started shooting the first day. And then the actual shoot was an 18-day shoot in August 2016. We did a first pass edit. We did reshoots in December, like 3 or 4 days extra then. I think the first kind of like final edit, first draft of the edit was probably spring of 2017. And from there was probably another year or so of like doing the sound, all that kind of stuff. So I think our final product was probably like fully kind of seen in 2018. And from there, then it was film fests and then distribution.
Okay. Yeah, it's not easy. Like I was saying, what people are saying. I'm involved with the RCGP side of things here. Not so much, but I'm desperately waiting for them to finish up a film that they have for the docuseries, and it's behind schedule now. So it's a lot that people don't understand the process or even the work that goes into doing film. So I could understand that. Who in the RC industry kind of helped you out? I believe you said Jake Mayo and Cameron
Neff. Yeah. So interesting. So Jake was one of the Associated drivers. So he helped us on maybe 3 days of shooting. Mm-hmm. And Cameron was a different story. He was actually one of the first guys I met when I just showed up to the Hot Rod Hobbies track. He was one of the guys there. I'm trying to think of the brand he used to race for. It was like a kind of a, you know, 4th or 5th tier brand. Kind of like X-Ray, but it wasn't X-Ray. S-Works, that was it, yeah. And so I met him like just the first day of like just kind of like documenting stuff there, and he was like super interested in it, and kind of became like my, I guess, kind of advisor / main driver for most of the shots. So, I mean, there was nothing in it for him except just the love of like our project, you know. Mm-hmm. And so Cameron did all the big jumps in the film, and yeah, those are kind of the two guys, Jake and Cameron.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the actual movie. I kind of want to review this from two perspectives. I want to review this as a guy that like probably is a basher and doesn't know too much about RC. Honestly, like I said, I paid my $10 for it. I'm going to watch it again. I watched it. I noticed little things that made me smile. Like I was like, oh, that was wrong. Maybe that didn't happen. But I would say it piqued my interest. I mean this in the best way. It's better than what I thought it was going to be. I watched it the whole 90 minutes or whatever it was. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was just something different. Like we've never seen RC on a big screen at all, you know? So, I get it where the whole jumping and bashing gets to, you know, that's more attractive. I get it. But the racing side of it looked interesting too. So I think for me, I kind of have a low rating system here on the NRC. I'm going to give it 5.5 mics on that side, right? Out of 10. That's my ranking system. That's my thoughts. As a basher coming in, looking at it, I'll definitely watch it again. But I'm also very in tune with the RC community, and this is like 8 scale, electric, and nitro. So I've been reading the comments from people. Some people have messaged me, and we're a very fickle community. We're very hard to please. And we like to complain about everything. And I think what we're as an RC community, we've been looking for something that will help us grow and show us in a different light. And I think from the RC racer side of this, I think people thought maybe there would be more racing involved in this. And like I read a lot of complaints. Like people's like, oh, it was kind of, you know, this, and it was just weird. Like it was a love story. And I said, look, this is a love story that involves RC cars. That's kind of how I took it in the end. But I kind of understand where the RC community is coming from. Like, this is our baby. Like, we love this stuff. And I think like I said, what they were looking for is just something to show more of racing and that side of the culture in it. And it did show a bit. Like I said, I saw familiar faces, guys I see at races. That was kind of, was just like, wow, these people look the same as they did like last year, earlier this year when I saw them when I was in California. And it's at an iconic race like Hot Rods. You went to Palm Desert, which I've been to as well.
Nice.
I did wanted to ask, where did the jump competition take place? Where was that?
So that was Victorville, at the Victorville like kind of fairground area. They have a track there. I think it's gone already. And they used to have some big events there too. So we had to kind of split that up because just logistically it wouldn't all work at Palm Desert. But Victorville.
Yeah, but Victorville, Palm Desert's small, and you can't do it out in the street.
Yeah, there was no place for it.
That's my feeling I'm getting. A lot of people are a little bit upset. But then I see some people that are like, yeah, it's okay. You know, I don't mind it. I watched it. I didn't mind paying my $10 for it. But I tell you, man, we're hard people to please. I know this. I encourage anybody to go watch it. Just watch it. I mean, you guys don't have to make a movie with RC cars. You're gonna put that with something else, and you chose to do that. And I'm like this. Any type of publicity is good publicity for our hobby. But we also, as a racing community, kind of tend to look down on the bashing community, and that's something we have to stop as well. Bashing makes up like I said, 80% pretty much of what RC is. And these people are future racers. I think we have to embrace that and try to get these people to race with us and be a lot more less intimidating and more welcoming of things like this. So if this movie helps get people into RC that want to jump RC cars and maybe they stumble across a track, I'm fully on for that. As an RC racer, I really wanted this to showcase. I was like, I knew what it was kind of about after reading the the trailer, reading about it and stuff, I knew it wasn't really going to be much about racing, but I was kind of hoping it would be. But as an RC racer, I wanted to see this dude like Rad, man. And Rad, remember he did the Hell Track thing and he beat all the superstars. I was hoping it would be something like that and probably put up more of a spotlight on the racing side of it. But I understand it would have been extremely difficult to do that.
Yeah, honestly, aside from like my own gut instincts on the story, I think it would have been logistically almost impossible. It was really hard to pull off even him at the track one or two times trying to do any kind of like technical, shots of the car crashing the right time or doing the turn at the right time. So I think to do a racing film like a Rad, to have that kind of like, kind of build up to like big scenes, we would have had to like basically buy out the entire track for a day, hire everybody as like on our, payroll to be like actual actors in it and like do shot by shot for probably a 3 to 4 day shoot.
Yeah.
And that would have totally broken the budget. Basically how we did it was we kind of showed up on real race days, got 30-minute access here and there to kind of shoot those quick scenes, and that was it. So I think the approach would have been completely different. So I think I never even thought of that as an option, because I just knew instinctively that like that was not a movie I could afford to make.
Right.
The bashing and stuff is kind of like, and the jumping is like the more cheap, doable, practical stuff I can shoot.
Yeah,
in back fields and back areas.
Oh, I
totally get it. Like from a racer standpoint, if you're expecting that, like if this is made for like as a team associated sponsored thing to make for racers, then yes, it didn't succeed in that. But luckily, I pay for it myself. I think I got to make the story that was personal to me, and hopefully RC car enthusiasts will like get something out of it. Maybe not exactly what they're looking for, but
well, I think they're just like we've been looking for that thing to showcase what we do, and. I get that too, but I also get your point. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch this again. I still will promote, say people should watch it. I think if we're getting RC cars in front of people, it's a good thing. I did find a few scenes where I was like, oh, that's funny. I'll tell you one scene, when the girl, Rachel, her room, I was like, she had like posters on, and I was like, I wish this was like this, because she had a poster of Spencer Rivkin, and I was like, look, she got the stud of RC and on her picture. I was teased Spencer, like he's the one who embraces the nerd culture.
One of the races, yeah.
The hobby shop. Which hobby shop was that?
Pacific Coast Hobbies. It was in like Torrance.
Okay, yeah.
West LA.
The dude with his wife hide in the car. Oh man, we do that. I hide stuff from my wife. Like if I get new stuff, I don't let her see it. Like, even if it's like I might get something somebody sent me, I try to. She thinks I paid for it, and that was kind of real. I have seen RC ruin relationships too, so a lot of that was like we go through that. Like we actually do go through that.
I went through that. Like I, had cars and was married, and like I remember when I was single and like 23, I was doing some cars and airplanes, and like I would have to wear a tie and a suit to my stupid office job. And I would be horrified if I knew anybody here in LA knew I was doing RC airplanes and cars during my lunch break. And so I would like hide that stuff in the back of my trunk, and put a blanket over it. And then like I would go out and do it at lunch and then come back. Like, and so that, and also with my wife, it was the same thing where like I want to buy a new car, and it's like, it's super embarrassing to be like, I want to spend hundreds of dollars on an RC car, like,
yeah, some people don't get it. And we RC nerds, when somebody new comes up to us, we're bragging like, I got $5,000 in this rig. Well, I got $5,000 wrapped up in all this stuff, and that scares people away. That was funny. He lost the whole thing about him meeting the RC girl. That's rare and far between. There ain't many girls in RC, unfortunately. I do want to see more females race RC cars, but the guys get too thirsty as soon as they see a female racer coming around. So that kind of turns them off too. A lot of those things, like even just the gypsy and Iran of the dude. I've been to California. JQ is a gypsy. He was. I remember maybe it was in California last year. He didn't really have a place to live. His normal house where he stayed, like he shared a room. Shared a house with a guy or rented a room that was full, so he didn't have a place to live and staying in janky hotels and stuff. It reminded me of kind of like my trips when I come to California. So that was familiar to me.
That's funny.
It is. It's true. Like we do everything on a unicorn budget, man. And the cheaper it is, that's how we do it. So that was correct. And kind of the portrayal of the RC dude is just like, I thought it was kind of like when he was doing the jump and people were just standing there around and nobody was cheering or clapping, I was just like, yeah, this looks about right too. Because
all just like, I feel like that was like the real part for me. It's like, this wasn't a story about a guy who gets into racing and like succeeds and it's awesome. This is like about a guy who kind of stumbles into it without any plan and kind of stumbles out of it without any plan, you know, like that was like the consistent part. It's like, it's not going to like be the champion and like go off and be like the number one RC car racer in the world. You know, like, that was never going to happen.
Yeah. He didn't even make the jump. I was like, wow, he didn't even, I thought for sure when she went and got her car, I thought he was going to make that jump and he didn't. I was just like, oh my, this poor dude, man. He's losing everything in life. Can't make the jump.
But if you look at that jump though, it's like, there's no way that guy's going to do that jump. Like, you know, like she's not going to make it. And, you know, to be honest, like now that we're spoiling it a little bit here, that whole scene, production-wise, was probably as scary as it would have been for him to actually do it because we had about 30 minutes between the racing that day, and we had like two cars working. We had 4 or 5 in the beginning. We only had down to 2 cars, and we had 2 jumps, and that was it. So we knew the chances of him landing that, like we kind of had to go either way with the film at that point. Like if he had landed it by some miracle, we would have had to like change the direction of the film. But I just knew there was no way he's gonna land it. So
you didn't even.
It was
because
you can't. I mean, nobody's good enough to land that kind of thing like first try. You know, so Cameron hit the jump, which is half the battle. But to keep that car straight, know the exact speed we needed, like that was just not gonna happen unless we had 10 cars and like a lot of time.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh! So if you would have landed it, the whole end of the story probably would have changed. That's crazy. But
yeah, totally. Like seriously, like that's why I went into it going like, you know what? Screw it. Like we got 2 shots of this. Whatever happens, happens. Go for it broke.
Ah, that's crazy. That dude's life is kind of like lots of RC people's lives are like that, man. You know what we do in RC, it's unique. It's our little thing. We like to guard it. Like I always say, RC guys are like an underground dogfighting ring where a bunch of guys wearing black hoodies in some obscure place racing RC cars. So, look, man, I'll be honest. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again. I'm a bit disappointed on the RC scene, but I like the RC racing side of it, and that's what I get. But I understand why some of the RC guys feel the way they do. But I also think they should watch it and support it. And if you don't like it, fine, that's cool. If you think it's so, that's all right too. But there isn't anybody else. I know what we want. We want somebody to show what we're doing. But, you know, it can't always be like that. But this maybe is a step or a foot in the door to get new people into our industry that we think is cool. And we want new people in. So if this movie does that or helps do that, I'm a believer and we need to attack that problem of getting new people in on all angles. So for me, no publicity is bad publicity. Yes, the RC purist in me is like a little bit. It was a little cringing. I was like, oh, no, he got that wrong. He got that wrong. He got that wrong. You know. But,
wait. I want to know what we got wrong. I really want to know. Like, what do you think of the things we got wrong? I'd love to hear.
Let's see. I think you overdubbed. There were e-buggies and you had some Nitro buggy sounds.
Oh, I addressed that one in the podcast because that was just a budget thing. Like in the beginning, I knew Nitro is like where it's at. Like in terms of these races, everybody's all about the Nitro events. That's like the king. But the problem is like budget, you know, it was literally just me maintaining these 4 cars.
No, you would have been in trouble with Nitro, dude.
And we were shooting in like neighborhoods and parks. Like it was practically no way of doing it. I could never have afforded it to maintain those and to start them and have the gap. It just would never have happened, you know? So, but the best filming stuff at the tracks was all the Nitro races. So I was kind of in this problem of like, they're going to see the smoke. They're going to like, no, but how can I do this? So I just was kind of like, screw it. Like, I can't make this movie unless I do that. And the RC racers are going to be mad, but most people will never notice outside of the industry.
You know what? So, and exactly. Like, I think like he was building his shocks with the springs on and stuff like that. I saw somebody mentioned that. I'm like, nobody would know any different besides us, you know? And I think he called the radio opinion at one point. I'm not sure.
No, it was, you know, that was just an audio dub thing. It was so like, he was like, hey, I want to change my pinion gear out. And like, he points to it like right after the controller. I noticed that in the final edit. I was like, shit. That was like out of sync. So he's pointing to, he's picking up the controller. It's like pinion gear. If you look, the next thing he does is point to his pinion gear. So
yeah,
like that's the editing thing. You know, it's like, okay, but no one will ever get that again unless you're like nitpicking it. But like, I feel confident enough in my own knowledge of the industry to like know that like what he was doing appropriate from a newbie standpoint, you know?
Yeah. Like I said,
hopefully
we wouldn't, the average person that's wouldn't know that you're on that, building your shocks with the springs on it is not the way to do it. Just us, because we do that. We live for that stuff. How many tricks did the house jump take? How many tries?
We did it 3 times, I think. The first try, it was actually in the film. He smashed the side of the house.
He didn't break the car when he did that. He hit that thing so hard.
And that was not planned at all, but it was so good. We just left it because it was perfect. So he drove that off, and then he did it 2 more times after that. And then we shot again from the back coverage. We only had 1 camera, so we had to shoot front and back. So yeah, that was fun because I don't know if you remember, this is like classic house jump video from like probably 2001 or something,
I remember that.
And that's like I think everyone saw that one. The guy in it was a Nitro Buggy, and he just kind of landed flat in the backyard. I've always wanted to recreate that for a film. I thought it'd be great. So this is our
I can't believe he didn't break that car. I remember when he hit that and he hit the side of the house. I was like, wow, he definitely had to break that car. Because he hit so hard and he looked at it.
It was crazy.
And I'm like,
didn't break it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow. And I wanted to ask you if he did. And also it's every RC racer's dream at the end, man, to go off with the RC racing girl that's into RC and races and have her by your side. I think that's every RC racer's dream, is to have. Only a few people have that luxury in the industry or in the hobby. So, I think that is something that every RC guy wants, to get a pretty girl who's into RC and races with him. So that was correct on that standpoint. It doesn't happen much. Sure. It doesn't happen much, but it's like it's like finding the white whale. But good stuff, man. It took a lot of balls to do this and step into a realm you aren't really familiar with. I really hope this helps push more people in our direction, bashers, whoever, or people who didn't even know. Like, somehow this is going to affect somebody. Somebody like, wow, they race these cars? Like, those little scenes will reverberate. Sorry, I know I said that wrong. With somebody, and they will get interested. And maybe that leads to them going to the local hobby shop and picking up a car and going to the local track. So at least we're getting something of what we do where the whole world can see it. We're doing better right now than what we've been trying to do in RC for a long time. So kudos to you guys for doing that. I know it was a lot of balls. I know you did this out of pocket. And I honestly think, whether you like it or you dislike it or whatever, what you think of it, I think everybody who's heard anything about it, go watch it. Make up your own mind. Make up your own decision. But at least you watched it and help support something that, may not probably show what we want to show exactly, but it will get RC in front of, I guess, millions of people, hopefully. So, yeah, thank you to you guys for that.
I mean, I guess I want to say one thing about the industry. Is like, it's kind of like motocross. I grew up riding dirt bikes too, and like there's a whole racing class, and there's the people who go out to the desert and just ride their weekends, you know. And I think watching the racing, just like in RC, is kind of what fuels the actual purchasing of this stuff by the mainstream people who actually aren't racing, So I think it's a similar thing where, like, it's probably in the racing world, it's hard to see outside of that, but for me growing up, nobody was racing. All just bought kits and like played around in the backyard,
Yeah.
So I think there's an incredible amount of people who do that and love the hobby from that point of view as well.
Awesome. I agree with you, dude. And if you guys want to watch this, it's available on Apple TV, iTunes, Amazon. What other platforms is it one?
We've got Apple iTunes, which is so confusing actually for me, because it's now called Apple TV through the whole change and split up of iTunes.
Yeah.
And then Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, and then this is actually a great platform we just launched on Vimeo, Vimeo on Demand.
Okay.
And this is the one. Vimeo on Demand is where a lot of people in other countries who couldn't find it on Apple iTunes for whatever reason, Vimeo on Demand works in all those countries. So we came across some ratings restrictions, and some countries are just really tough about it. So Vimeo on Demand's the freshest place.
Good stuff. Thank you guys for coming on the podcast. Thank you for what you've done. Remember, just go watch it, guys. Go watch it. Leave some reviews. I know you guys want reviews of this. Rate it. Do what you got to do. But this is the closest thing we've had to RC on the big screen. So go check it out and just enjoy it. Do it 90 minutes. Go enjoy it. And thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it. And good luck with future endeavors in filming and with this film.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us, man. That was awesome. Yeah, really appreciate it.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Oh, yes. It's that time of the podcast. This is the uncensored, unhindered, full of banter and curse words. This is my disclaimer. If your young kids are going to listen to this, maybe they shouldn't, because we get pretty rowdy in here and get pretty raw. This is the JQ Racing Rant, and we have not done one of these in a long time, Joseph. And unfortunately, we was trying to get Jeff the Keaton here, but he's working. He's way behind us. But we definitely intend to get him on this podcast and do some more ranting. When I was doing the best of 2019, it's so epic, like with him on, because he gets us both so riled up, especially you. So shout out to Jeff Keaton. We're working out. Maybe we can get him on next week's rant. He even said he has a rant for me. So what's up, Joseph? Because you wanted to rant about this last week. You said you had something special in store for me. I've been waiting about 3 weeks to know what's going on. The floor is all yours.
Yep. So you see, I complain a lot. I moan and complain, and I'm negative Nancy. I get that. But see, there's a difference when you complain and you actually have a reason to complain, and you give solutions and suggestions, and you do something about it. You do something to improve the situation. You just don't complain for the sake of complaining. A lot of people, they go to races, they complain about the race, but they have nothing to offer. Or they complain about RC in general, or they complain about IFMAR, or they complain about this or that, or they complain about a brand in RC or something. But they don't actually offer any solutions, or they don't do anything themselves. So I get a lot of that criticism too, but I don't agree with it, because I think about this stuff. I always want the best for the RC industry as a whole, not just myself. So I think about it, I see problems and issues, and I talk about them and I complain about them. But I also offer solutions. And I also think about ways to improve things and try and eliminate the problems I see. So now I have figured out a way to, again, hopefully improve RC. And see, I know that people don't like me. It's no secret. So even if I come up with some great, brilliant idea, yeah, understatement of the century, they just slightly don't like me.
I think people want to kill you, like, honestly.
Yeah,
at some point.
Yeah, I know. If I come up with something, even if it's a great idea and I'm doing a good thing, people are still going to hate on me, and they won't want to join that good thing because I'm involved. But let's think about it. The No Name RC podcast is arguably the #1 podcast in RC right now. And people
I don't know
love
about that.
you.
I don't know if it's #1.
People like Keenan. Keenan is such a great guy. Keenan this, Keenan that, right? So Keenan, you are actually going to be the solution for RC's problems.
Oh gosh!
And
see, I know nothing about this plan. I don't know what you're talking about. You wouldn't tell me.
Okay, so here we go.
Do I become Supreme Overlord now? Is it official?
You will be way better than that.
Oh gosh!
So you know how I've been talking about IFMAR and how I created. I mean, I didn't know what IFMAR stood for. I'm like, IFMAR, what's IFMAR? And then I figured it has to be International Federation of Men Arranging Retreats. Because what it seemed like was there was a bunch of old dudes who used to race RC cars, and then they figured that they could get all expenses paid holidays to exotic locations if they were members of IFMAR. All they had to do was wear a shirt and go to an RC track for a few hours each day and, kick back and just sit around and not talk to anyone or do anything. And then they could go to the hotel or the pool or wherever and just chill. So That's what I figured IFMA was, and I would like to prove my point. Keenan, who is the IFMA president right now?
I don't know. I asked you that the other day. I'm not sure who he is.
So you do not know who the IFMA president is?
No.
How is it possible that you, a podcaster in RC racing, do not know who the IFMA president is? Because I own a RC car brand and I attend the World Championships, European Championships. I do not know who the IFMA president is.
Do they have a president? Now. Have they made it official?
Yes, they have. Dallas, may he rest in peace. He died, 2 years ago now? Maybe?
No, I don't think it's that long.
Anyway, he did. He passed away. He was the president. And now I assume they have a new president. But who is it? So it begs the question, what does the IFMA president actually do? Because my understanding is that IFMA is the governing body of RC racing. IFMA is supposed to present RC racing to the world, expose our sport to new audiences, grow the industry. Like IFMA is supposed to be the face of RC racing, you know? We already spoke about this earlier in the podcast, like how we're nerds in the field and we need to show that we're a lot more than just that. IFMA is supposed to be doing that, right? So how can they be doing that if we, in the industry, we don't even know, A, if they have a president, B, who the hell that guy is? Obviously, the president isn't doing much of a job if he's doing anything. And IFMA on a whole isn't doing a very good job either.
Yeah, quick question. Is if the IFMA presidency is a paid position, correct?
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that either.
Okay.
Do these guys get paid? I mean, IFMA has money come in. What does IFMA use the money for? Where does the money go? Let me ask you a question. Name one thing that IFMA has done in the last 5 years to promote or improve the industry, the sport.
I really can't tell because I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, RC Racing TV and all of like the online content and control and these things, they are done by EFRA. EFRA is the European Federation. But what about IFMA? I haven't seen anything, not one single thing. So I figured this needs to change. We need to fix this. In order for us to move RC racing and change it, improve it into the cool thing that we know it can be, we need to start at the root of the problem. We need to start at the federational level, IFMA, the Federation of RC Racing. That's where we need to start. So I figured out the genius solution for this. Here we go. IFMA has a president. No one knows who the hell it is. No one knows how the president gets elected, but I assume it's they always say it's democratic. So there has to be an election, right? So Keenan KY, I am going.
Oh gosh.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Oh gosh.
I am therefore now announcing you as candidate for IFMA president.
No way.
Yes. Keenan.
Oh my gosh.
And I need you to go on Facebook right now. I need you to go on Facebook because I am going to send you an invite to a page that I created.
Oh, I know nothing about this.
And I want you to check this out together with me because we need to go over your policy platform together. So let me just share this page with you. Because obviously I'm going to be your campaign manager. You're going to need a campaign manager, and I can do that for you, Keenan.
Oh my gosh, elect Lefty.
I'm actually going to, you know what? I'm going to share this on my page.
Vote for Lefty.
Please support Lefty in his bid for the IFMA presidency. So I'm going to share this on my... Should I share this on my Facebook now? Because then people will see it before they hear the podcast.
I don't know.
Because we're recording this.
No, you shouldn't share it yet. But
okay, I'm only going to send it to you then.
Oh my gosh. This is what you've been doing for the last few weeks?
Yeah. How do I send this to you?
You would have to send
Share in a private message.
Send it through, a private message.
Okay. So please go and check your Facebook messages.
Oh my God. He really did start it. It's just it's a group. It's not a Facebook page.
No, it's a page.
Why isn't it? It's just going.
Okay, so basically the page, you can see the banner there, the official campaign page of Keenan K. White. You're next if my president, and a picture of you, if my logo, Nitro's glory. I even made your first campaign advert. So it's a banner image.
I can't get into the page. It just takes me to a group. IFMAR election. You're really serious about this. IFMAR election 2020, elect Mr. White. You even call me Mr. Wow.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway, I made your first campaign advert. So you know how people complain about all the traveling. So I made an advert. It says, people complain about IFMAR officials just wanting paid vacations. Well, I live in the Dominican Republic. I don't need a vacation. Hashtag RC is my passion. Hashtag vote for lefty. So I think that this needs to be our approach. But also we need some serious, policy positions. So I wrote you as your official, campaign manager. I wrote your policy platform. So do you find that on the page?
I can't even find the page.
One-page document. Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah, but it just comes up as a group, like not.
Well, go on the page.
It doesn't show up.
What do you mean it doesn't show up?
Let me see.
It's public.
Maybe on my. Let's see if I can get it on my. Where did you come up with this idea?
Let's say I have an anonymous friend who also has a love for RCGP and what RCGP could be, and let's just say a not so rosy view of the current federation in RC, and together we came up with this plan for infiltrating IFMAR, like democratically attacking them. So here's the deal. Whenever the next president is elected, we are going to make sure it's going to be you. Because all the listeners know and understand, they will understand the changes that you are going to make to IFMAR. And it's going to make complete sense. So, Keenan, you are basically going to change RC for the better.
Oh, wow. Did you send this letter in yet?
It's just here now for now. So now let's just very quickly, briefly go through the objectives that we have. And then in the coming weeks, we could, for example, I think you should figure out that is there actually a president? And then you should invite him on the podcast and you should talk to him, and then we should figure out when and how can we actually, when is the election? How do you vote? How can we do this? How can we make this happen? I'm serious. You are going to become the president of IFMAR.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna happen.
This is insane.
If it truly is democratic, and if people truly vote, I'm serious, you are gonna win. But if it is this, hush hush, corrupt, good old boys type of club, then we're gonna expose that shit. So it's a win-win. Either you become president or there's some scheming bullshit going on behind closed doors that no one knows about. Well, there is actually a third option too. IFMAR will, because of this pressure, actually improve on their own. Whoever the president is, he will remain, but he's actually going to start doing a good job or a job, and we're actually going to, through this campaign, improve IFMAR. So either you're going to become president, we're going to expose IFMAR for what a scam it is, or IFMAR will improve on its own. So those are the three options that I see in the future.
I finally found it. I pulled up your letter.
Okay, so let's just briefly go through the points.
Okay.
So after you become elected, what are you going to change? Because you need to understand and agree with these points, and then you need to, push for them. So, right, you obviously have to go through them, right? So why don't you start with number one?
Okay, let me just flip my phone around here because my eyes aren't that good nowadays. I think I need glasses. Most definitely need to get some glasses. Let's see. Okay, number one, IFMAR. To promote 8th scale Buggy World Championships as pinnacle of RC, promoting our sport to a wider audience. Number two, IFMAR World Championships and 8th scale Nitro Buggy to be held every year. I would love that. Number three, updated rotation of host location to USA, Europe, other, and repeat. They kind of do that.
Okay, stop right there. Mm-hmm. So let me explain the reasoning behind this. So to change the image of RC racing, we have to start somewhere. We can't just change all of it in one go. We have to focus on one thing, one class. And I think 8 scale Nitro Buggy is the most spectacular class to do that in. It's not like whistling 10 scale cars in silence. Like no one cheer. They don't break their concentration, What the hell? Like, that's not cool. Nitro, off-road, dirt, flying, roost, sound, noise. That can be cool. So we start 8 scale Nitro off-road. Also, what the hell is this every 2 years crap? We need to race every year. Every year we have a world championship.
I definitely agree with that. Okay.
Go on, point 4.
Location selected for exposure and RC market size. Priority to joining exhibitions and full-scale events with a large audience. That's another great point, actually. So
let me add one thing. The rotation, right now the rotation is USA, Europe, Asia, South America, South Africa, I guess, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's too long. It takes forever to have a race in America. We need to race in America more often. We need to race in Europe more often. So let's just do it. America, Europe, rest of the world. Mm-hmm. So there's every third year we're racing in America, racing in Europe, we're racing in somewhere else. Because let's face it, that's where the money and the market is.
Okay.
Let's try and get these races. This race is supposed to be the pinnacle of RC. Let's get in front of people that can actually buy cars and go to the local track and race.
Okay. I think that was one of the biggest complaints I'm hearing from this year's Worlds that hasn't happened. So, yeah. Number 5, new format. Day 1 practice, day 2 seeding practice, day 3 qual, day 4 qual, 2 and lower mains, day 5 finals and banquet. Yeah, so 5-day race.
Sense. Shorten it up a bit. 5 days instead of 12. I mean, who are we kidding?
Yeah. Okay. Funding, a flat fee of $25 from every racing license purchase.
You skipped one.
Sorry,
you skipped 6.
6. IFMAR to have a minimum of 1 full-time employee to manage events, promotion, and oversee administrative duties. They probably have that already.
I don't know what they have, but I just, this is a first draft. We still need to research IFMAR and get all the facts and information, and then we'll edit this.
Okay. Funding, a flat fee.
But I'm just basing this on the fact that we don't even know who the president is. So there's no way, and we don't know of anything IFMAR has done in the last 5 years. So clearly they can't have any employees. That was my thinking. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. So yeah. 7.
You've been wrong before. A flat fee of $25 from every racing license purchased on a national level. Drivers select a main class and, if applicable, a backup class for their racing license. With one class, the full $25 goes to that class. With 2, it's split $12.50. The funds are used to promote and put on the annual Worlds event along with other promotional events. Okay. So everybody would just
read the example, then I'll explain.
Okay. There are currently 57 member countries of IFMAR. Based on a rough estimate using national championship entries, there's a minimum of 3,000 licenses used for 8-scale Nitro Buggy globally. This would give the World Championships event a budget of $75,000 in addition to the normal fees and sponsorship. Point 1. This money guarantees that the World Championship race organizing club profits. that the WC Race Organizing Club profits from the event. IFMAR has the funds to join full-scale motorsport events on other public events. IFMAR has funds to expose RC racing of the highest level to popular social media and TV channels. IFMAR has the funds to produce professional race coverage pre, during, and post-race. And last point, IFMAR can, with the legitimate product, attract outside industry corporate sponsors. Yeah, that makes sense, because we did hear how, speaking to the guys in Australia, how they pretty much will finish, like not finish, but definitely skinned a little bit for money after the World Championships last year, in 2018. And that shouldn't happen. That should not happen.
And see, the problem right now is the financial burden to do something big like this falls on the organizer. Mm-hmm. It falls on too few shoulders. But if we use the already existing infrastructure of requiring licenses for national championships, for example, if each country, each federation, they have a requirement, okay, do you want to race RC cars in our country at the national championship level, or whatever they decide, and whatever their official races are. Like, if you want to join an official race, you must have a license. Mm-hmm. Like in Finland, for example. If we want to race the national championship in Finland, we join a club and we get a license. It's not a lot of money, like tens of euros a year. It's not a lot of money. So if we use this system and we make a system where for example, I can choose, I race 8-scale Nitro Buggy, so I'm just going to select that as my primary class. So part of my license fee goes to IFMAR, so IFMAR can put on the 8-scale Nitro World Championships. So we are all, it's like crowdfunding in a sense. All of us in RC together that race, we are supporting our industry, our hobby. We are making it possible for IFMAR to put on an exceptional event. We are making it possible for IFMAR to go to Formula One and say, we want to join your race in Imola and build a dirt track in wherever, like where the audience goes for between the races or something. I don't know. It's just an example. And then they're going to say like, well, it costs like $50,000 to do that. And we're like, well, we have $50,000 because we have a budget, like $75,000 for one race. This is the money that IFMAR has to promote RC to the world. So we can go to, if not that, let's say motocross. The MXGP, they actually go to, I think it is actually Imola, and they build the track like partially on the track and the infield and all that. Mm-hmm. So they're already moving tons of dirt around and putting grandstands up and all that. So why not go to them and say, look, we want to put on the RC World Championship event here, just move the dirt around a bit differently, and we build a track here for us. Okay, and then we can join their event and have 60,000 people walk by our track. Yeah, that will benefit us. But the problem right now is it costs money. Mm-hmm. We can't do that because these events, they aren't just going to invite us and have us go there and for nothing. Like, they want something. They want us to bring a sponsor or pay them money. But if we have this license system, and if IFMAR knows, like, every year we have like $70,000 to put on this event, plus the normal sort of entry fee and stuff that they're already doing, then if it costs like $30,000 to some organizer of some event with 40,000 spectators, then you just pay them $30,000. And then if it costs $20,000 to build the track for the event and driver stand and all that, then you have the money and you do that. Like, everyone is paying $25. It's not a huge ask from anyone because the pool is so big. It's all RC racers who race on a national level. They are what's the word? They are contributing to the budget of IFMAR. Yeah. And then IFMAR's goal is to promote our sport to the outside world.
Okay.
This is the system that we need in RC.
And number 9, with enough licensing fees, IFMAR can promote RC racing and the relevant class outside of the WC event at other suitable exhibitions and public events in order to grow interest in the hobby. IFMAR can also help fund local tracks and clubs in new regions, as well as fund promotion of the hobby in media. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yes. So this is the other problem. So hobby shops are dying, tracks are closing, tracks are struggling, clubs are struggling. So what better way than having the governing body actually support them? So there's more money than that's needed for this one race. But let's not even talk about the World Championship Series. Let's just keep it at one race. So what can IFMAR do to improve the hobby, to grow the industry? Well, other exhibitions and events with like-minded people, why not attend as IFMAR, as promoting the hobby? Have some cars, have a small track, have people try cars, have a good website with all the information where people can go, scan this fucking code and see all the information and buy a car and get involved, join a club. It's a no-brainer. IFMAR should be doing this. And also, if the budget is bigger than what's required for one race, then why not put some money towards, social media advertising and push, like getting eyeballs on the videos and on the event that you just had.
Mm-hmm. They don't do that at all.
They all require money, but it's simple. If you have a governing body that actually cares about the sport, this is what they would do. They would have a budget, they would have someone work full time, and this would be their job. And we would know who the president is. We would know of wouldn't know of just one thing. We would know of many things that IFMAR have done over the last 5 years. Me and you together can come up with 0 things that IFMAR has done to promote or improve RC racing over the last 5 years. 0. And neither of us know who the president is. That's a problem.
That's true.
And Keenan K. White will change this. So #vote for lefty.
Vote for honestly, you wouldn't tell me what this was all about. How long have you been planning this?
It was literally like that week when we were going to record. I made this page like on the Monday or something.
Really?
And then you said that, I don't want to record this week. I was like, fuck. So then it's just been sitting.
Oh, well, this is different. I never expected this.
But here's the thing, like this rant, it's not a one-time thing. Like, I am not kidding. We are going to do this. So every week we are going to rant about this, and we're going to find out who the president is. We're going to get him on the show. You can talk to him. We're going to figure out more information about IFMAR and EFRA and the governing bodies. And we're going to uncover all this bullshit, and we're going to find out where the money is going and what's really going on, and we're going to find out how to get you elected to president of IFMAR. Because if you Keenan are president, then shit's going to change. Seriously.
Wow. I'm actually flattered by this. You even consider me to do this type of stuff. I still want to know who the secret backer is, but I'll talk to you about that after we get off the air. I'm shocked.
Oh yeah, my partner in crime. He kind of gave me the idea.
Yeah.
He wanted me to be the president. Then I'm like, no. Then I'm like, oh my God, you know what we should do? Then for the rant, this is what we'll do. And then awesome. I told him, and he was like, yes, that's awesome.
Well, I mean,
but I can't. I don't know if I don't know if he wants to be named, so I'm not going to name him.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe your crazy idea can work. I'm sure people might think this is a joke, but I guess you're dead serious. So.
No, it's not a joke. This is serious. We need to think of some good polls and stuff and votes and like just to show that the people are behind you, Keenan, because I believe they are. Seriously.
We're starting a whole political campaign here, aren't we?
You are passionate about RC just like they are. You and them, we all want the same things. Mm-hmm. Okay? We all want the same things, and I'm the asshole. I'm Beaker, but people like you. And also you tell me to shut the fuck up when needed to, so people can trust you, I think.
Yeah,
maybe I'm like the brains behind it, and I can I'm your campaign manager. I come up with a policy platform, but you aren't going to do something that I come up with that's stupid, you know?
No.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I think people can trust you.
I think you found a way
and
to
that's going to be...
Go ahead, sorry.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's going to be the winning recipe, I was just going to say.
Well, we definitely have to do something. I definitely feel, and we talk about this a lot, like Raw needs to do better than what they're doing in America. I think Efra's doing a great job, to be honest. I don't know much about Femca.
So let's just mention Efra a bit. I mentioned it a bit. So Efra, actually, they have Javier Garcia.
Yeah.
Javier, what is his name?
Garcia,
President?
I believe. I have him on Facebook.
He's doing a good job, but this is the thing. Like I kind of argued with him about this too, because he's too much of a politician. If it was up to him, Efra and RCGP would already be working together, and probably Ifmar too. Like there wouldn't be this sort of Ifmar over here and Efra over there and RCGP. Like we would all be working together for the greater good of the industry. I sincerely think that, but it's not up to him, because he always says Efra's a democracy, you have to vote this and that. No, listen, at some point you have to be a leader, and you have to be like, enough of this fucking bullshit. This is right. Kind of. You know,
but you kind of have to do it in a political way.
If you are just being political and trying to make everyone happy and compromise it, nothing fucking changes. And that's where we are. I've been in RC racing 20 years. You know what's happened? We have RC racing TV and personal transponders. Like, that's it. We are still racing in the middle of bumfuck Egypt, nowhere. No one knows what we're doing, and we're still nerds in the field. That's it. Like, nothing is changing. We are still have the same format, worlds every 2 years in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. You need someone there, like you, Kenan. You're not going to put up with any shit.
Oh my god!
Change this. I'm really excited about this whole campaign.
You're super passionate. I'm sure you're gonna I think you found a way to combine your love of politics and RC now, and it's that I can hear the passion oozing out of you. Like it's just pouring out.
We're gonna change this shit. Yeah. People aren't gonna know what hit them. They're gonna be like, "This is the coolest thing ever." I didn't know RC could be this cool. I didn't know we could be racing at the Anaheim 1 Stadium in America, California, Supercross. I didn't know we could have a world championships here.
Yeah, we can. Just need to do it.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't expect this. And honestly, people might think we're staging this, but you wouldn't tell me. I didn't know what was going on. I was asking around, like, hey, have you heard anything Joseph talking about? He has some plans for me. And I was worried for a bit. I thought this was going to be, usually when you say you have a plan, which I've heard over and over again, it usually involves me doing a lot more work or something else. And if this happens, it's definitely going to be a lot more work. But we need to do something. We keep saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
So you accept, right?
Yeah, why not? I don't think it's
so
going to
when
happen.
We post this podcast, I'm going to make this live.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be interesting.
Or like the day after or what?
No, you make it live tomorrow. We'll be launching this on Friday. So
we kind of need people to listen to it and then discover this page.
Yeah.
So I'll not share it. I'll just leave it like this. Like people can find it. Mm-hmm. So when they listen, they will look for it on Facebook and they'll find it. So the page is IFMAR election 2020, elect Mr. White.
This is so crazy, but it might. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Oh wow, I'm flattered.
After people start finding it and sharing it and stuff, and then we'll just go on that attack and share and post this everywhere. Get this out there.
We're gonna get Facebook. We're gonna trigger Facebook's algorithms. I can see already. I'm flattered, dude. I appreciate it.
Okay,
you gotta no.
We should make the first. Oh, you know what the first poll should be? The first poll should be, who should be the IFMAR president? A, the guy that currently is president that no one knows about. B, Keenan K. White.
Oh my god!
Yeah, let's make that as the first. I want to see the results.
Oh my! It might be against me, man. People, this bumbling idiot is gonna represent us. I don't know, but we definitely need to make RC cool, and we need to shake things up. and change things. You need to shake the tree so the bad fruit can fall. So
I kind of got sidetracked. The point of my Efra thing was like Javier is doing the right things. He's a good guy, but he's doing them too slowly, you know? And I think that my sort of bull in a china shop can ruffle feathers and be quite destructive in a sense. I understand that, but it fucking gets changed done. So if you combine these two forces of Javier, the politician, doing the right things but way too slowly, and me like
you like
an atomic bomb, I think that like the compromise between those two might be something that actually works and makes a change. You know, so this election campaign, I have high hopes. I really have high hopes.
I just heard the enthusiasm, dude. No wonder you've been kind of quiet on Facebook, somewhat. But this is funny. But let's see where it goes. You never know. You never know what happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I had a rant too, but I'll save that for next week. I'm actually flattered. So, and for people who think we might be staging this, I have no idea what this was about. So I just read it. It really does have a Facebook page. It's only one person. But thank you. I appreciate that, Joseph. I don't know if it's going to work, but, you never know. I mean, you never know. Life is funny. I never thought I'd be here 3 years from now talking on a mic, talking about something like this.
Okay, so now your job is to figure out how an IFMA president actually becomes president. That's your job. And then next week we continue the rant.
Yeah, so I have homework to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you know what, Joseph? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It was good chatting with you, getting back on the podcast. Shout out to everybody. I wanna say a shout out to my boy Dominique McKinney too, as well. My condolences go out to him. He had somebody close to him pass away. Fellow JQ racer. Shout out to all my JQ racers around the world. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you to all of the No Name RC podcast supporters around the world. Our Patreons as well. It's good to see people getting back racing. Have fun at 452 Raceway this week. Austin Shacklet, he's been busy. His track looks badass. And thank you to our sponsors who are RCMX Online, Tekno RC, Beach RC, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, and BK Servers, and of course JQ Racing. And remember, we are still openly looking for advertisers on the podcast. If you're interested, shoot me a message. I'll send you an email with our tiers. And Joseph, more homework to do, but this will be fun. Let's see where this goes with this. I'm super flattered. I'm shocked you even thought of me, but you never know. You never know. Nitro's the glory. Buggy pays the bills. Keep on racing. Stay positive. And hey, thank you for all the support. Please like and share this podcast. And if you have any suggestions, any questions, shoot me a message on the No Name RC Podcast Facebook page. Also, you can follow and like us there. We're trying to get that up to 3,000 likes. IG, the No Name RC Podcast. Please go there. Give us a follow. We're almost at 1,000. Let's blow this shit up. Make RC awesome. Hashtag RC is my passion. I know it's yours too.
Yeah, and you know what? Let us know about your country's licenses.
Yeah.
What does the license cost? What races do you need a license for? And who's the governing body? Like, is it a separate RC thing, or like Finland, where it's actually the car racing federation, real cars too? So just how do the licenses work, and what do they cost in your country?
Sure, will do. Buggy pays the bills. Nitro's the glory. If you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty.
Yeah, and soon IFMAR is going to pay the bills.
Woohoo! Lefty is out.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. We greatly appreciate all the support and love from you, the listeners. Without all of you, none of this is possible. Special thanks to our patrons on Patreon. If you wish to support the podcast further, you can at patreon.com/NNRC podcast. As a patron, you will receive early releases, special content, and patron-only giveaways. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, www.nnrcpodcast.com. Remember, Nitro is the glory. but eBuggy pays the bills. If you aren't having fun, it doesn't make sense. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding lefty out. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory.